Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show, bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio, here's Nick and Matt.
What's up, everybody? Episode 138. It's been a while since we started the show. Nick, we are in our, I don't even know, what does 138 do? That's our, yeah, that's, no.
We're in our third year because we started in 2020. So,
wow.
Yeah, pretty wild.
So at the end of this year, we will have completed, I think we're in our third year. 2020. Yeah, so at the end of this, it would be a 4-year stint, right? Like, that's where we'll be at.
Ish, yeah.
Close. Anyways, episode 138, Cosmic Disc Golf is sponsoring Nick and Matt Show, episode 138. As they have been, check out their website, Cosmic DG, CosmicDiscGolf.com, Cosmic DG. Sorry, I'll get it right. Cosmic DG. I'm looking at the banner as I'm talking. CosmicDG.com. Check them out at Cosmic Disc Golf.
And something for everyone who shops at Marshall Street Disc Golf. Cosmic DG stuff is actually now there. They have towels, hats, glitches, and hexes with the Cosmic DG stamp on it. So Cosmic making some moves in the disc golf world. Check them out either at MarshallStreetDiscGolf.com or CosmicDG.
They're at Maple Hill too. They're everywhere, and they keep sending me hats. And I like this is not the newest hat they sent me. I had to change it up. Can't wear it every.
I like the color combo of that one though. I like that blue and black.
Thank you. You know,
no problem.
Mine looks more pink, I think, in person.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were almost matching too.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's all good.
Evan's here, I think. If I'm not mistaken, Evan's in the wings there. Oh, he's full screen. There he is. Boom.
Ooh, full screen. Yeah, I'm not eating mac and cheese anymore. I appreciate everyone letting me eat it during the intro.
Do you want to know how many times, Evan, since the episode where we determined that the Berg was your disc, that my kids have talked about that?
The Kernsberg.
Oh, they're like, Evan.
Oh, my goodness.
They're like,
Kernberg.
Evan Berg. They're like, it's so good. And I'm like, so anyway.
Man, maybe I'll have to throw a Berg in my bag.
Yeah, you're just Evan Berg.
Tour Series Berg. Just sell your own, brother.
You could change it. I know it wouldn't be the same, but do the same font instead of a B-E-R-G. It's
Kerns.
E-R-G, right? Just do K-E-R-N in the same font, and it would look sweet.
Oh, dude, I'd buy that tomorrow.
Me too.
I can throw that.
All right, well, I'll have to call up House of Discs after this.
So
episode.
We're going to have an update, obviously, on OTB. We always start with the updates, and wow, it was an exciting event, as they all have been. We will get to that update. But before we get to it, just some friendly conversation surrounding PDGA numbers, not rating, that we aren't doing that tonight. Everyone's laughing. Nick, you weren't here last week. It came up again.
Did it really?
Yeah, but PDGA numbers. My number is, I'll just give you the simple version, 48,000. It's not actually, but it's in the 48,000s. Nick, what's your number? What thousand?
82,000.
82,000. And Ben?
Mine is
180,000.
Yeah, 180,000. Sorry.
What about you, Evan?
140,000.
Okay. Wow. So what does it mean when you're the lowest number by 100,000 at like every event you play? It means that I've been in the sport a while, or does it mean that I'm in the wrong division? Like what? Because I'm playing AM1, and like I'm playing an event this week with like 60 AMs, and I am like the lowest by like 100,000 at least. So I don't know. What does it mean? Am I in the wrong division?
No.
You're playing to your skill level. It just means you are staying stagnant with where you're at.
Stagnant. Well, technically, pros are staying stagnant where they're at. They're just stagnant a lot higher.
Exactly. They're at a good stagnant.
And hey, Matt, you got to enjoy that every single time there's a tie, you get the benefit of the doubt.
It's
at least,
true.
I mean, for
a good point.
Us amateurs, when do you ever play a tournament over 2 rounds? Like, MVP am side, that's about it.
True.
So every single tiebreaker you face is just who has the lowest PDGA number. You don't get to that second one where then it's hottest round. So hey, that's a huge benefit. I'm already receiving that benefit. Wow. And am too. I'm one of the lowest generally, so I know. Hey, just got a tie, and then I'm the upper card. It's cool. It's a cool feat. I don't love it for the pro side. I mean, hey, it's cool that Simon Lizotte has a low number because he signed up as a kid, and Europeans got a bunch of lower numbers. don't want him always getting advantage to get lead card, even though I love seeing him on lead card or, whatever upper card there is. I think the pro side needs to move away from
How would you do it, Evan? How would you do it?
How would you do
You
it?
can't say, I wish I could see it
CTP.
another way. Give
most
us
birdies.
an example of what
It's
you would
too
want
early
to
in
be
this
done.
episode to cover it too deeply, but I will give a quick scenario. I think the simplest solution is just random number generator.
Oh,
Just randomize it. I mean, everything's on PDGA Live to do cards anyways. Just random number generator. Sure, it would be cool if the Pro Tour wanted to be like, yeah, we want to incentivize birdies. The more birdies you get, that's better. Or we want to incentivize people who have a higher standing place. Whoever's the higher standings.
least OB.
Sure. Yeah, there's all the ways you could do it. I think random number generator is just
Highest
the best. Essentially a
rated
coin
player.
flip.
Can we go with that one? No, sorry. That
Hands
conversation's over
player.
tonight.
You think like an NFL football game, how do they decide who gets the kickoff? It's a coin flip to then decide who gets a slight minimal advantage. I think a coin flip, as in a random number generator, is a fine way to do it.
Yeah.
Although there could be cooler ways, as you guys mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, who can arm wrestling? That would be cool. You get to make it lead or feature cards. Yeah. All right. Well, that was our fun little topic before we get into the update. But tonight's show will have the OTB update. Chris Clark from discgolf.law will be joining us in about 20 minutes. He's going to provide his legal insight in a way that we can understand. If you don't already subscribe, definitely subscribe to their channel. He provides great insight into these legal happenings, which is crazy in some ways. I don't remember this being a thing when I started 17 years ago, all the legal news. But the other side is it's getting bigger. I think there will constantly be legal news from here on out, good and bad and who knows what, right? But so that will be happening. And then we've got, each of us have brought topics tonight. I think Evan's brought a game, maybe Ben's brought a game, and Nick's brought a topic. And we're going to have a blast of a show. As far as the guests go beyond Chris Clark, do not hold your breath right now. We do have some hooks in the water. Emerson's going to be on a plane, which in our modern age, he could probably still join, but we're not going to ask. That would be a first. And the others are not currently able to make it as well. So we've reached out to a few others. It's possible they get back to us during the show, but this is a live show. It's happening now. Let's get to the OTB Open recap. Evan, if you're ready, take it away.
Oh man, you played it up. I thought you were going to ask me to tell you about the weekend, and then I'd go, oh yeah, the Celtics won in Game 7 over the Sixers,
yes, they did.
And faux MVP Joel Embiid didn't get out of the second round again. Nuggets are in the Western Conference Finals with the true MVP Jokic against the Lakers. But I'll keep it as short as that.
No, that's
well,
fine.
I'm going to keep it as Jason Tatum scored the most ever points in a Game 7.
That's insane.
And that is Mr. Incredible right there for you. He saved his legacy in Game 6 with that incredible fourth quarter and then just absolutely destroyed the 76ers. It was so fun to watch. It was such nice weather actually here in Virginia that we brought a TV outside and we were all watching it, which was super
nice.
cool.
You know, my Sling subscription ended and I didn't really feel like paying for another month, although I kind of should have yesterday. I was too focused on DGN all day. So let's cover that. We had
sports ruin that like monthly pay option because you always are like, I'm going to cancel. And then you're like, the Super Bowl, football, baseball, basketball. Like, it's always something I can't. It's the Olympics this every 4 years. You got to go. So anyways, yeah. All right. You're
like,
right.
I thought I could do it for summer, but the finals, the NBA finals and NHL are exciting enough. But
OTB.
All right. OTB, Paige Pierce takes it down. She wins by 4 strokes. Which is phenomenal because it is her 41st victory at elite and major events by 41 strokes. That's more than any FPO player has by any margin, except for Val Jenkins and, of course, Paige Pierce herself. That is remarkable. She is now 34 for 34 as an 100% win rate when having a 4-stroke lead going to the final round of elite or major. That is truly incredible. Like, I can't even believe that you could be 34 for 34 in something and not mess up once. The notable thing that a lot of people are going to want to mention is there was no Kristen Tatar this weekend. I got to drop this stat, though, not to rain on Paige Pierce's display, because she did put up a fantastic 1033 rated round, 1004 rated event rating, which is one of the best we've seen. Kristen Tatar's only done that 6 times, having 1,000 plus event rating.
That's a good
so
one.
That kind of puts into question, hey,
event rating.
There you go, Matt. But what I do have to say is Paige Paige Pierce without Kristen Tatar in the field since the start of 2021 for majors elite and including throw pink, since it's kind of almost a major or elite, but not quite. I did want to include it in this. Paige Pierce has played 23 events without Kristen Tatar. She has 23 without Kristen Tatar. Wow, I'm fumbling on my own words. Let me restart. Without Kristen Tatar in the field, Paige Pierce has had 23 events since the start of 2021. She has won 11 of them. That's almost 50% win rate. It's 48% to be exact. Still running by a whole number though. Paige Pierce with Kristen Tatar in the field, 21 events, just a few less, but only 3 wins. Good for 14% win rate. That's staggering. And it says 2 things. 50% win rate without Kristen Tatar. It's still an incredibly good field, and Paige Pierce dominates. But with Kristen Tatar in the field, it is a whole different story. I think it adds a whole extra dynamic. I think we can dive into that a little bit later. To go through the rest of the leaderboard, Owen Scoggins finishes in second. In the last 365 days, that is 12 podiums from elite and majors for Owen Scoggins. That's more than anyone else. That's more than Kristen Tatar, who has 11.
Can we take a soft break and because I brought up Owen Scoggins, didn't I? Like earlier this season, like 3 events in or something, and I was like, where is she? You're going back 365 days, which is a full year, and I get that. I feel like last year was that way. Is there any quick numbers on like finishes this year for her? Like
for Owen Scoggins?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I mean, 365 days is, more last year than it is this year. I'm trying.
It's a good stat, and I'm not trying to like throw it out.
No.
But I feel like I was like, I'm not going to say surprised, but if you look at Disc Golf Pro Tour standings, she's second right now. And I feel like that's sneaky. So what do you have?
Yeah, so she finished second at the Disc Golf Pro Tour last year. That's how she ended her season. Coming into this year, she finished 8th at Vegas, 3rd at Waco, picking up a podium, 15th at Austin, 11th at Music City, which are outside top 10. That's not very own-like. But then she goes and does Champions Cup, 2nd place, OTB Open, 2nd place. And that's not even including silvers in that. She has a 3rd place at Blue Ridge and a 3rd place at Texas States as well this season.
Wow.
So yeah, when we include silvers in it, let me do just 2023.
That's 5 podiums this year and 3 non.
Yeah, 5 from 8, 63% podiums.
Man. I'm just surprised. Like, I'm surprised with the feeling that my brain has compared to what's actual reality, because it's probably because those 3 were mixed in there, where it's like 11s and 15s and 8s. You don't really talk about that player on that week. So anyways, sorry to interrupt you again, but I'm surprised.
No, that's the point of this. We want to discuss it, but I do want to go back and correct myself. She has the most podiums in the last 365 days out of majors, elite, and silver. I think I left out silver originally, but just want to be clear on that. Emily Beach rounds out the podium. That's her 3rd Disc Golf Pro Tour elite podium of her career. Very cool to see up there. Ella Hansen coming in 4th, respectable finish. She was in it towards the end. And have to note Katrina Allen finishing 11th. She picked up an 11 in the final round. I didn't count how many OB strokes she had in a row, but if you watch the live coverage, you'll see it. She just never crossed in water. I think it was probably 3 or 4 extra throws where she just went water, 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 like USDGC hole 17 style. Picked up an 11, her worst score on a hole for data we have since 2021. Going over to
OB, you know what OB does? It makes ratings higher.
Goodness, Matt. We're moving on to MPO. Emerson Keith wins. This is his first ever elite or major win. It's a 75th MPO win from all PDGA tiers or tiers and events. But picking up his first elite or major win. I think a lot of people knew Emerson Keith before this event, but we have never seen him really battling for that win, and he goes in and gets it down. Aaron Gossage was leading into the event. He ends up finishing tied for 3rd. That was Ben's pick. We were talking in our chat what was going on. A few just missed putts and just that back 9, he kind of got derailed.
More than a few.
More than a few, probably like 8 or 10. I don't know.
Where did Ben get his
intel?
Yeah, like, was it just previous 3 years he played well there?
I'm the prophet.
Okay.
I mean, that's what you guys called me, and I guess as Robinson, I guess Cat Merch, and I almost guessed. But yes, honestly, I'm obviously not a prophet. But
You just felt it because of previous years.
He's played it so well. Probably one of the most reasons I did is because it was his breakout event. And if you're playing that well as someone that isn't really on the pro tour, is kind of struggling and no one really knows about you, and you play that well, I'm like, you can do it again when you're actually like more confident on the tour.
But I was surprised at the amount of changes there. So like he did great for the amount of changes, still similar style. I had picked Anthony Barella,
He
kind of out of a hat, but he's been demonstrating good things. And yes, he lost one stroke to Gossage. But like, I feel like that was incredible as well. Ella, we thought was in it to win it till the end there, as Evan said. Evan, who was your pick? I'm trying to remember.
I'm gonna get to it in a second. Let me finish up the
I
players
already put the points down. So
Okay.
let me finish up the players who played well, and then we'll get to my pick. And the embarrassment for my pick, but we'll get to it.
You're not a prophet.
We need to mention Gannon Berg here. He came from the 5th card. That needs to be very clear. From the 5th card and almost won. He birdied 9 straight. Almost starting on hole 9. Almost had 10 straight if he birdied hole 18. That would have tied the longest of the season, longest birdie streak that is. If he took it down from the 5th card, that would have been the first non-lead or chase victory we have seen on tour. We have not even seen a 3rd card winner. We haven't seen a 4th card winner, but we almost saw a 5th card winner.
And didn't we we've had him on like 8 times this season, but when he was on just last, didn't we say like, hey, are we going to have like a chase card? He's like, I think we might have a 3rd card winner. And
5th. He literally said 5th.
He did?
Yep.
It was a number.
No way. We need to clip
some
that.
guy DM'd
really
me.
do.
Someone
I think
clip
so.
it.
Some guy DM'd me and he
wow.
said he DM'd me earlier. What's his name? Joel. Shout out Joel. Thanks for DMing me. He said at 1 hour, 48 minutes, 50 seconds.
He almost called it.
He said we might even see a 5th card winner.
Oh, that would have been
wow.
So close.
If he had birdied the final hole, which he was set up in a perfect position. Had he birdied that, we have a playoff.
Yeah, of course it changes up. Emerson
It
had,
changes
like,
how
4
Emerson's
holes
going
left
to play. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
But Emerson could have birdied more to get the outright win. It could have stayed the same and gone to a playoff, or it could have put more
Could have
pressure on
panicked.
Emerson
Yeah.
because Gossage was losing a lot of strokes even after Burr was in the clubhouse. Keith was able to play the last couple holes just purely safe. He knew that he had 2 strokes on Burr and could just go par, I believe.
Yeah.
So it had that lead to play with, but if he had to catch strokes, that would have been a whole different game. It also would have been the largest comeback we've ever seen starting in the final round of an Elite Merger ever. At 7 strokes that Burr was trailing Aaron Gossage, the leader, into the final round at. The only other time we saw that 7 strokes was Dave Feldberg at the 2010 Skylands Classic, I believe in Pennsylvania. It was a national tour event.
Shout out Disc Golf Monthly. They actually, I'm pretty sure, have the coverage of that. And it's sick. It's wicked fun to watch back in the OG YouTube days of Disc Golf Monthly.
That is good to know. I was trying to confirm it as we were doing it because we have it all calculated back, but just wanted to actually see it, but I couldn't find it. But that is good to know.
Yeah.
Nico Lacastro was leading into the final round. But interesting enough, Lacastro dropped to 3rd, and there was almost a playoff. There was a playoff. There was almost a playoff at OTB. There was a playoff at this event between Dave Feldberg and Matt Oram. Matt Oram ended up losing. And remember, Matt Oram has never won an Elite or Major event. So that is interesting too. That's not whoa, guys.
The way he emphasized never. You heard it, right, Ben?
He's like,
He has
never
Manio,
won.
disrespect.
I don't mean to disrespect him. Just
We
saying
love
how
you, Manio.
close he has been, even though he hasn't won. Ooh, that guy is very good at disc golf. I hope it doesn't seem like a
He's the
dig.
best.
Bro,
He's actually the best player in the world.
You hate Matty O, and I hate Calvin. It just is what it is. Like,
Evan
not
hates
even-
Matty O and Paige Shoe.
Not even
Just how it is.
not even
Inside joke. He
close on
doesn't
either
actually
of
hate
those.
Paige Shoe. Well,
Or
inside show
Matty O.
joke, I should say.
He goes, or
Let's-
Matty O.
You do
Okay.
hate Matty O.
We also had Cole Dolan and Isaac Robinson finishing on the podium. That feels like it's been the standard all year. Isaac Robinson in the last 5 events has finished top 5 in every single one. The only other player to do that, of course, on the MPO side that I'm referencing here, is Gannon Burr. If we look at the best average round rating through those last 5 events, Isaac Robinson also leads best birdie rate. Isaac Robinson's second to Gannon Berg of players who have played all 5. And the best bogey rate is also Isaac Robinson with Gannon Berg second. Those two are 1-2 in everything. And Isaac Robinson has the major win. And I believe last 5 events, I don't think that would include Austin anymore, but it should include Blue Ridge. So they each have 1 win. Kind of cool. They're buddies, and they're both on fire lately. Going down the leaderboard a little bit more, he was off and on invisible, Matt, but your favorite player, Calvin Heimberg,
my favorite
was
player.
way down the leaderboard.
I didn't pick him to win.
And then jumping up to a tie for 6th, along with Anthony Borelli, your pick, and James Proctor, who've been talking about all season, getting another solid finish. Vino Makala finishes 9th. He's been looking really solid. But now it's time to talk about the players who didn't look their best. It's not fun to cover the players who don't play well, but it is important. Simon Lizotte finishes 51st. He posted it on Instagram. I believe that he was like the best parked rate and the best C2 in regulation. His putting was just not there this weekend, and he ends up missing cash. And then we'll talk about my pick, Eagle McMahon, finishing 55th. He also did not make cash, of course, because he finished lower since of Simon, who also didn't make cash. Kind of given, but this is the first time Eagle McMahon has not made cash, excluding DNFs, of course, on tour in his career. The first time he's ever missed cash while completing the event. That's incredible. Incredible streak, and incredible that it ended up falling here when he has won this event in the past. He was in incredibly good form, getting back-to-back podiums to then go 55th.
What about I missed it because I was talking to Ben behind everyone's backs with our mics turned off. But Nate Sexton was at the cash line.
I was just about to bring it
Yeah,
up.
so bring it up,
Nate
Nick.
Sexton.
Bring it up.
Oh, I was gonna say, and someone tweeted this, and they said this was the perfect, like this describes Nate Sexton perfectly by parring. I think it was the last 11
Something
holes.
like that.
Nate Sexton, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He parred the last 11 holes to shoot a 10-13 rated round, and was able to keep his cash streak alive by 1 stroke. So it's perfect.
That is now 117 straight elite and major events, standard elite and major events for Nate Sexton cashing. That's every single one of his career. It's the longest streak by a mile. It's the longest active streak by a mile. The next one is Joel Freeman, I believe. Assuming, did he play this weekend? I don't think he did. Or maybe if he did, it depends on if he got cash. He would be the next highest. The last time Nate Sexton. Okay, so his streak's still active, of course. I think it's around 54, somewhere in that ballpark, or exactly. The last time Nate Sexton missed cash at any PDGA event, 2008 Stumptown New Year's Classic. That was 5,607 days ago. I don't have it pulled up in front of me. I used to. I don't have it pulled up in front of me anymore. I think he missed cash by 1 stroke. I know Statmando co-founder Dion Arlen cashed at that event, beat Nate Sexton by a stroke or 2.
Dude,
it was
how
like
old was he back then?
$14.
2000 and what?
Cash. 2008.
8?
Yeah, probably low mid 20s, like 22
low 20s
or so.
something. Yeah.
I don't know his exact age.
He missed cash, making $4 by 1 stroke.
Oh, $4, not 14. Wow, I was way off.
He would have made $4.
Unreal. Just how the sport changes, and also that was the one that he missed out on $4, and he didn't miss cash before that event too. It's not the only one in his career he's missed, but
we're getting close to bringing in Chris of discgolf.law, but I wanted to do this topic in the moment while you were talking about Sexton. So let's briefly, but is Nate Sexton going to show up on a podium or a win ever again? And I know we kind of joked about another name earlier, Evan, in like one of our chats or something, but like Nate Sexton showed up at Worlds, was 2 years ago? It was Utah?
It was 2021 for sure.
Yeah. And it's
I'll
like,
pull up his page and see if he has anything recent.
He was maybe, I don't even know if I'd say touring more. That was like COVID, and he was way more not involved back then. So I don't know if I was to roll the dice right now, It's not that he couldn't, but I'm picking that he doesn't. That's my hot take. Is there fire for that one, Ben? Maybe there's not. I don't know.
There is.
What do you think?
Thanks for the reminder.
Nick or Evan?
Find it.
Well,
I think
I'll
Go
jump
ahead.
in real quick, Nick, not to cut you off, but that was his last podium on tour. And he only has one other top 5 since then, too, which was USDGC that same year. Last year, USDGC, he did finish top 10 and Worlds, too. He finished top 10 back-to-back years. He also has like a 9th at Waco this year, and he finished 10th at Portland Open last year. So he does have some top 10 sprinkled.
The chat says, oh, there's back and forth, but they said you can't count him out of USDGC. And actually, I'll give you that. There's certain places, right, Nick? You feel the same way about him? Yeah. It's going to be a certain situation where we could.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
It's somewhere where, there's a course littered with OB and he can just kind of throw those, say, Firebird, Excal shots all over the place, then yeah, he's going to do well at them. But
good point.
I say in the next 3 years, if he continues to play a decent amount on the road, I think he picks up another podium. Now, if we were to say, is he going to pick up another win? I think that's a little bit more of a conversation that we could have, but a podium, yeah, I think he'll pick up another podium.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to jump in on that, and I would be very surprised if Nate Sexton picks up a win on tour. I really would. But I would expect at least a few more podiums in the rest of his career.
Good question from the chat. I call him a super fan, but he's a friend by this point. Episode 1, I think, at least not second, maybe the second episode. Kent Chapman. He says, Matt, would you have thought Emerson would have been on a podium? And if someone had that's a great question. If somebody asked me that this year, I would have probably said similar to what I said for Sexton. You keep going to Nick.
Yeah,
the
thing is, it gives you fire now. I
Yeah.
can't help it. I'm trying to. This thing is tweaking. No.
So okay, well, but I guess I'd say almost the same thing. It's not that I can't envision it, even knowing hindsight what we know from this weekend, but I would have picked no. So to that point, I think this is the point you're trying to make, Kent, is Sexton obviously can do the same thing. And that's kind of why I prefaced it that way. I said, I don't think it can happen, but I don't think it will. That's just how I feel.
I want to cover this guy's USDGCs for a little bit. Since 2014,
a minute and a half. Go.
2014 finished 5th. 2015 4th. 2016 odd year 31st. 2017 was the year he won. 2018 finished 4th. 2019 finished 10th. 2021 finished 5th. 2022 finished 10th. That's I mean, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 6, 8 years that I just said. 7 of them were top 10s.
Yeah.
5 of them. I'm so bad at math. 5 of them were top 5s. That's incredible, and that track record is truly, it's incredible. I don't have any other words to say.
Is there a cliff though? We interviewed Nate on that. It goes fire every time.
Okay, he finished 10th last year,
the
though.
fire.
Like, sure, there could be a cliff, but it's not a cliff you can expect. You can't be like, oh, he's for sure falling off this year. Like,
true. He didn't miss cash. We'll wait till he misses cash. But
yeah, and for what it's worth, in the state of Vermont, so it's really just Smugs. I mean, it's GMC Worlds in 2018 and also the Pro Tour Championship. His worst finish was 21st at Worlds in 2018, and I say this because, of course, Worlds is going back to Vermont this year. At GMC, the Pro Tour event, he has never finished outside the top 10, 7th, 8th, and 9th. But he has not finished better than that, except for the Pro Tour Championship, which was a different format in 2016, where he finished 4th.
All right. Well, Ben has forever put the fire logo up on me. Everything I say tonight is just fire. And so, with that being said, we are going to move it over. Hey,
I fixed it. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Let's go.
He fixed the fire. Good. Before we bring in Disc Golf Law, Chris Clark, everybody, let's bring him in. He has been busy. I think he was out in Stockton. He's now back on the East Coast, but he's got all the latest. And is it the greatest? It's the newest. It's the most up to date. Chris, welcome to the show, man. We're happy to have you. How you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. Good evening. Thanks for having me on. Can you see and hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can hear and see you perfectly.
You're a professional. Unlike, I mean, we have professional disc golfers come on the show, but like audio and video is not their thing. But like, yeah, you're doing it. We can hear you. Thank you.
I think I mean, maybe Evan can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that 2021 USDGC Sexton was tied for first after the end of the first round.
Oh, I'll have to pull it up. Let me do that. Give me a minute or so.
Yeah. To that point,
I think I was at our local league night, and we were all kind of showing each other our phones, going, "Are you guys believing this? What he's doing over here at USDGC?"
It's both.
He was.
Yeah.
Him and Terry Roethlisberger.
So, anyways, yeah, Nate Sexton. But we have you on because legal conversations. You are the legal professional. Discgolf.law, just to give a shout out. Works with disc golfers to create deals that are, how would you explain it? That are right for them, that are fair, that are bound correctly. Is that the right way to describe that?
Yeah, I think a lot of what we've had to talk about so far this year has been, disputes among parties in disc golf, and those are not my favorite kinds of things to work on. I got really excited about the Pro Tour, the news about the Pro Tour acquiring Jomez, because that's really the kind of thing we do. We try to put deals together and work with disc golfers and disc golf related companies. My favorite projects are the ones where the parties involved are all sort of working together for the same, positive result. But disputes do arise and lawsuits happen, and that's part of business. That's part of the law. That's part of our sport now. And so, we've been looking at obviously closely the Gannon versus Prodigy situation, and obviously Natalie Ryan's case against the Pro Tour and PDGA.
Sure. And so, kind of navigating these topics one at a time, as far as we can tell, and we had Gannon on, and he told us himself, but from your perspective and being able to see these court documents, probably easier than we do, or maybe it's just as easy, but we don't go find them. It seems to be wrapped up, like it's closed, right? At least to this point.
Yeah, I think so. And I think this was what we talked about, one time when I was on the show previously, that, essentially that boiled down to a financial dispute really more than anything. And that's why I thought, and I'm not giving myself credit because it wasn't a brilliant thought on my part or anything, but I thought it was likely that would settle, which it did. So it seems like, at least for the time being, that matter has been put to rest.
Yeah, and I do remember that. You said, hey, I don't remember what percentage you gave us, but you said large percentage are settled outside of court. And I was like, this one seems like it's going, but there you go. They eventually come to terms. And do you see that? This is, again, your perspective. I don't know if it's legal or not, but do you see this as a win-win in this scenario? That's kind of how I feel. Like, meaning for Prodigy was kind of like, it looked to be tainted, and then those who were kind of thinking Gannon was being immature. Do you think this is a win-win for both of them?
That's a great question. I thought at the time that Prodigy had potentially done some damage to their reputation in the sport by doing what they did. Now that some time has passed, now that it is apparently settled, and we've got a little bit more perspective where we can look back and consider the circumstances under which Prodigy chose to file suit against Gannon. I wonder really how much damage they did to their reputation, if any. I mean, I think it probably maybe took a little bit of a hit. But on the other hand, we have examples in the past in professional disc golf where players have walked away from contracts with, at least as far as we from the outside know, little to no consequence.
Yeah.
And I think one interesting thing about it is we are now apparently in the phase of our sport when maybe it's not going to be so easy for players to walk away from a manufacturer's contract and not face any consequences. So is it a win-win? I mean, I think the fact that they didn't have to go on and spend any more dollars and any more, stress and headache, fighting a lawsuit, that's certainly a win for both parties for sure. Prodigy didn't lose Gannon to another sponsor. That's certainly a win. Was it a win for Gannon? I don't know. I mean, we obviously don't know. I don't, and I would suspect most of us don't know the details of what the settlement terms were that led to them dropping the lawsuit. But I do think, I guess I would say a qualified yes. It's probably a win-win for both of them because now they're not fighting anymore and they can get back to focusing on what they do. Gannon playing disc golf and Prodigy being a disc golf company.
Yeah, I think it's a win if Gannon's promoting their plastic. I think the damage done to Prodigy, as you said, we don't know. They probably took a little hit. I think the majority of that hit is in, it could be lighthearted jokes or it could be some seriousness to it, but of the, ooh, let's go, don't go get sponsored by Prodigy. You know, like that's the kind of hit they took. But okay, well, Gannon is staying with them through the end of the year. We all have our opinions whether we think he's going to continue there or not. But let's move over to the next topic, which is the Natalie Ryan case legal suit that was made against the Disc Golf Pro Tour and PDGA, as well as 1,000 Rated Productions. We all know about that by this point. A lot unfolded, and my short understanding before I hand it to you is that even through this week and with with all that unfolded, this was not the case that Natalie brought. I mean, it was related to it, but this is not the court case. This was all preliminary, if you will, injunctions and restraining orders and stays. So give us what you know, and you can take your time doing it. You have a great video on your channel. If people want to just go get that just consolidated, concise version, that's fine, over at discgolf.law. But go ahead and give us your take on it, everything that unfolded.
Sure. And thank you for asking me to do that. I think we try at discgolf.law on our YouTube channel, we try probably like sometimes once a week, but really it probably ends up being more like once every other week to release a video on something that we feel is like a interesting legal issue in disc golf. And in the past, week or so, we've done 4 fairly lengthy, not too terribly long, but 4 fairly lengthy videos on this topic because things, as you said, kept happening day by day. There were brand new things happening every day. And I mean, one of those videos I made in the in my rental car while driving from San Francisco to Stockton for the OTB Open. So here's what happened. One of the things that Natalie asked for in her lawsuit was that she be allowed to participate in the OTB Open in the FPO division. And as time went by and as it became more apparent that this case was not going to reach a resolution or really any progress before the OTB Open happened, a lot of us were looking around wondering, all right, well, what is going to happen, if anything? And sure enough, a week before the tournament started, Natalie's attorney filed for a temporary restraining order to ask the court to require the PDGA and the Pro Tour to allow her to play in the FPO division in the OTB Open. As you pointed out, 1,000 Rated Productions is a company that does promote and coordinate and run the OTB Open. We're not really talking about them much in these court filings at this point because they've taken the position, and I think correctly so, that they do not make policy, they do not enforce rules, they're just there to run a tournament. And so while you correctly noted that they were a defendant in Natalie's lawsuit, in fact, I think they technically still are a defendant in Natalie's lawsuit, I don't think we will see them play much of a role. So a week before they filed this motion for a temporary restraining order, it obviously had to be heard on an emergency basis with only a week before the tournament started. So the court set a very tight timeline for the defendants, the PDGA and the Disc Golf Pro Tour, to respond to that request for a temporary restraining order. They both did respond. And then the afternoon before the tournament started, the court granted Natalie's motion and required the PDGA and the Pro Tour to allow her to play in the OTB Open in the FPO division. We had intended to be at the OTB Open long before any of this happened relative to Natalie's case, but it just was a really interesting coincidence that we did happen to be there firsthand. And so I got to see, we were there when the first FPO card went off on Friday morning, which that's the card that Natalie was on. There were, Natalie had her supporters there. There were folks that did not agree with the court's decision. They were there as well. It was one of the most heavily spectated 7:45 a.m. FPO cards that I've ever seen, and I love spectating the FPO division, so I've seen a lot of them.
Was there any booing or cheering at any point during the teeing off of Natalie Ryan?
So I did not hear any booing of anyone, and I think that's fortunate, and it's a I was pleased about that because I thought there might be, especially in light of the fact that some of the tournaments that Natalie has played recently, there have been vocal protesters there, and so what I observed was when Natalie teed off, there was a lot of applause from the gallery. There was another FPO player on her card, and forgive me, I think it was Stacy Ronsley, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But
I think that's correct.
Yeah, and so several of the FPO players in the field that day wore pink and black that day, essentially to signify their unity and support of one another. And so when Stacy teed off, there was a lot of applause and reaction for her as well. So what I observed personally was support for Natalie, support for Stacy and the group that was wearing pink and black, but not any boos or anything like that.
Well, I think that I think that is a win for disc golf. I do. I think that's a great thing. Thank you.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree too. So Natalie completed her round, did very well. And something I did not expect to happen. So actually, let me back up a little bit because I don't want to skip over this because I think the timing of each of these things is really interesting. It was Thursday afternoon when the court granted Natalie's motion for a temporary restraining order. Thursday evening, the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the PDGA filed an emergency appeal with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. So this is a federal appeals court over the Ninth Circuit, and submitted their appeals right away. And so Friday late afternoon, West Coast time, Natalie had finished her round, as I said, did very well. The Court of Appeals granted the appeal from the Disc Golf Pro Tour and said that they reversed the decision from the trial court and said, you are not required to allow Natalie to play in the FPO division. And so the Disc Golf Pro Tour made the decision at that point to follow the policy that they had made and to exclude Natalie from the next two rounds of the tournament. So that's essentially what has happened. And a lot of folks, one question I've gotten a lot over the weekend is what happens next? Well, we kind of turn our attention back to this underlying lawsuit. As you correctly pointed out, just because there was a lot of activity in the trial court and at the Court of Appeals, there is still this underlying lawsuit going on. And so the defendants will be expected to file an answer, so a response to the lawsuit. I believe the deadline is sometime in the first half of June. So within the next few weeks or so, we should have responses filed from the Pro Tour and the PDGA, and that's really the next step along this path in this case.
Okay. There's like small, I don't want to say intricate, but there's questions I've had. I know, Nick, you're sitting off camera here. If you have questions about this, definitely Evan as well. There's some interesting ones here. Like, you'll probably have to fill me in on how this works, but the idea that Disc Golf Pro Tour has ownership that lives in Virginia. And it's my understanding that Natalie also has residency in Virginia. And that was one of the takes from the Disc Golf Pro Tour, that this shouldn't be tried here in California. But maybe that has to do with a federal versus state. So can you fill me in on that portion of it? And why is it not being held in California? Is that a federal thing, or is it the fact that they have to do it in Virginia? Like, what's that about?
So I am not surprised that you asked the question, and I have intentionally kind of avoided this topic, not avoided, but not given a lot of detailed attention to this topic in our videos, partly because it is a very nuanced technical legal issue, but I'll tell you what that's all about. So in order for a court to make a decision over a company or a person, that court has to have jurisdiction over them. And in federal court, there are a few different bases for a federal court to exercise jurisdiction over someone. And so one of those is called diversity jurisdiction. And by diversity, what that means is the parties are residents of different states. And the Disc Golf Pro Tour is an LLC, a limited liability company. It's LOWA, LOWA LLC is the name of the company that operates the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And under the law, if any of the owners of that LLC reside in a particular state, then that LLC, for the purposes of establishing diversity jurisdiction, can be considered as a resident of that state. And so since the LLC that operates the Disc Golf Pro Tour does have owners that purportedly reside in Virginia, and I'll tell you why I said purportedly in a minute, but that purport to live in Virginia, and Natalie claims Virginia as her state of residence, that would essentially destroy that diversity jurisdiction that would give the court the ability to rule. And so that actually is the basis on which the Court of Appeals reversed the decision of the district court. So that actually turned out to be an incredibly important point. Sometimes we see at really at all levels of court, courts will make a decision like this on what you could consider to be a technicality, like a technical basis. I'm not saying that happened in this case for the reason I'm about to give, but in some cases, if a court wants to rule a particular way, they have to look for something to hang their hat on or to rely on. And in this case, I think it's maybe possible that the Court of Appeals chose to reverse that decision and looked for an easy way or an easy argument on which to rely, on which to base their decision, and they based it on this jurisdictional issue. I just throwing that out there. I think it's possible that happened. But the reason I said that the Disc Golf Pro Tour, that their LLC purports to have owners that reside in Virginia, Jeff Spring testified at the hearing for the temporary restraining order and stated under oath that Steve Dodge lives in Virginia. Steve Dodge being one of the owners of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He later, after the hearing was over, had to retract that statement because it turns out, and I think to many of us this doesn't come as a surprise, Steve Dodge lives in Massachusetts. But the Pro Tour subsequently submitted some pretty persuasive evidence in the form of like photocopies of driver's licenses and things like that, that members of Steve Dodge's family that own part of the Disc Golf Pro Tour do in fact reside in Virginia. So there was some confusion around that issue, but it does appear ultimately that I think that jurisdictional issue appears to have been resolved correctly.
Wow. So I know Steve Dodge, and I'll put it on record. I am a friend of his. He lives here in Leicester near me. And so I was actually sitting down with him on, what was it, Saturday, playing his new Birdie Pro. Fantastic game, by the way. It was awesome. And I said, hey, Steve, did you know you were going to get brought into this court hearing? And I'm not going to tell you fully his answer there, but I had a conversation with him about it. And I think it's interesting to know, did the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I'm going to use this word, you probably don't know, did they get lucky? Were they like, whoa, look at this, like states, you know, like, did they get lucky with this find?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think that's a fair way to put it. I think I would give. First of all, let me say I will give immense credit and respect to all the lawyers that are involved in this matter for the. I can't imagine any of them slept this past week. At least not Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because they were preparing lengthy, complicated documents in just a really short time frame. But what I was about to say in response to your question is, I think credit goes to the attorneys for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, because I think, you know, their job is to look at all the facts and to analyze the situation as best they could. And I think some smart person really came upon this argument that, hey, wait, does this court really have jurisdiction? Let's take a look at that. So probably a little bit lucky, but also I think a smart, hardworking lawyer probably discovered that.
So you were mentioning just a few minutes ago, Jeff Spring saying that, you know, Steve Dodge resides in Virginia, and then they were like, oh, wait, no, he doesn't. He lives in Massachusetts. What did that mean specifically for the case with Jeff saying that on the record?
I don't think there's going to be any meaningful consequence to that. I don't have any reason to believe that that's anything other than, you know, just a careless mistake on Jeff's part, or a misunderstanding even on Jeff's part.
Yeah.
I think, you know, like I said, the reason that argument ultimately prevailed was the fact that LLC does in fact have owners that live in Virginia. At least it appears so, based on their, you know, their IDs, their driver's licenses. So I don't think there's ultimately going to be any consequence for Jeff or for the Pro Tour from that. Now, the question of whether the case, you know, what happens with the case now, the underlying case, that's a great question. And I expect we will see, you know, the PDGA has to file an answer to this lawsuit. Will the Disc Golf Pro Tour actually file an answer similar to what we expect the PDGA will do? Or will they really try to push this jurisdictional issue to try to get themselves removed from the case? It's a open issue, and I'm anxious to see what happens.
I'm going to jump in here for a second. So the Pro Tour has, as an LLC, has owners in Virginia. How does that relate to the PDGA being a nonprofit? Because they don't technically have an owner, as far as I know. How does that, like, could have Natalie still go to court in California versus the PDGA? Or do they need to be in Georgia where they operate? Where am I going with that? Like,
it's a good question. I don't think there is a jurisdictional issue relative to the PDGA that I'm aware of. I think the PDGA is a nonprofit association, or maybe even a nonprofit corporation in Georgia. I'm sure I've looked at that, but I can't remember exactly what their form of organization is. But I do know they are a Georgia entity. And so they would be, for these purposes, considered as a resident of Georgia. Natalie would be considered a resident of Virginia. And so, at least with respect to that diversity of residence issue, there should be no problem there.
So for what just happened this past week, the temporary restraining order was approved and then repealed, or however that's worded exactly. That seems like it was the case for the Pro Tour. Why? I'm still lost on how it got to this, with the PDGA also being a defendant in this case.
Well, so I'm going to answer that in two ways. So first, the order from the appeals court, which was the one that ultimately allowed the Pro Tour to exclude Natalie from rounds 2 and 3 at the OTB Open, I'm going to paraphrase, but it essentially said the court doesn't have jurisdiction over the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and therefore the Pro Tour is essentially free to exclude her from playing. And since the Pro Tour has represented in its court documents that it will exclude Natalie from playing an FPO unless they are required to do otherwise by a court, they said, now, again, I'm paraphrasing and sort of putting it in my own words, but it's kind of like they said, we expect the Disc Golf Pro Tour will exclude Natalie from this tournament. And if Natalie doesn't play in the tournament, the PDGA is not likely to be harmed. And therefore, we don't need to grant the PDGA's motion to stay this temporary restraining order. So, the suit was brought in California on the basis that, number one, the PDGA and the Disc Golf Pro Tour do business in California. And number two, California has a Civil Rights Act that was favorable for the facts in Natalie's case. And so that's how it originally ended up in California. And, the PDGA was a named defendant because it's essentially their policy that Natalie is challenging. And, the Pro Tour, shortly after the PDGA announced their policy, said, yeah, we're going to implement that policy too. And so I think that's how they all ended up as defendants. And I think that's how the case ended up in California.
Okay. I want to comment on one individual chat that just came in. There's a simple fix for all of this. This is from James SSR23. MPO is the pro division and the rest is amateur. Problem solved with no legal issues going forward. We wish it was that easy, but I mentioned that to someone this weekend. The response to that was, now you have undermined and removed FPO competition. There's no more professional female disc golfers. If you look into it that way, like Kristen Tatar, Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, based off of ratings, and I know it's kind of a joke we talk about ratings, but they would not be cashing at these events. So maybe you're right, we wouldn't have the issues, but you would also effectively remove a significant initiative that we appreciate on the Pro Tour. Chris,
let me make one other. Let me respond to that comment in a different way too, and not to pick on whoever that was. Anyone that says that there is a simple solution to this situation is fooling themselves. That's an absurd statement to make. I have not only spent a lot of hours thinking about this and researching this and talking to people about this, but in those conversations that I've had with lots of other smart people, a lot of people have ideas kind of like what he suggested, or he or she, I think you said James, so I'm going to assume he, but, kind of like just have a mixed division and that's it. Have divisions by ratings. Have a transgender only division. I think there's a lot of suggestions. They all come with their own complicated set of problems. So it's sort of an automatic discrediting for me when I hear somebody say, hey, there's a simple solution to this, because there's not.
Yeah.
Talk to me really quick about, and I think we're all kind of weary with what we say sometimes, but talk to me a little bit about Natalie's post after the first round was concluded and the decision was made that she would not be allowed to play the second and third round. I'm assuming you saw that, Chris?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
And I know exactly what you're referring to. So it's interesting. I have to be a little bit careful because I did have several conversations over the weekend, many of which I'm obligated to maintain confidentiality on. But I was contacted by some folks who were very concerned about her post that she made after the announcement was made that she would not be playing in the second and third round. It was something to the effect of, I'm going to burn it down, or they're going to burn with me, or something like that. And I would say this is maybe a shortcoming of mine, or maybe something where I need to be a little bit more tuned into, how people read these things and perceive these things. But when I read that post, it didn't strike me as something threatening or potentially harmful. And then I had some conversations with some people over the weekend, and I sort of changed my opinion about that. And I think, Natalie ultimately did take that post down and replaced it with a different post where she said, I want to clarify what I meant.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt on that. But yeah, I think thinking back about that, I can understand why people, especially people who are closely and directly involved in this situation, would have been concerned.
Yeah, and it just raises questions, probably nothing we can solve here, of does that hurt? Does that help her legal proceedings going forward if the Pro Tour says, why would we, on top of our rules that we have in place, why would we want someone who is antagonistic, or even they could make the case threatening towards our organization? So do you have any quick thought on that? Would something like that hurt a legal proceeding going forward based off of that?
The first thing I would say is, I think ideally none of the parties involved would be antagonistic towards each other. But having said that, I think if we try to put ourselves in Natalie's shoes, I would hope we can at least be a little understanding of why someone maybe wouldn't choose the perfect words in that situation.
Absolutely.
Again, I wish she hadn't posted the burn it down post. I don't think that's okay, especially now that I talked to some of the people who felt threatened by it. I'm not condoning that by any means, but I also do think it's nice if we can give each other a little grace in times of pressure. We don't always choose the perfect words. So I can see both sides, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Does it affect her case? Does it hurt her legal case? I don't think it has much effect on that. Having said that, maybe it gets cited in the next court filing.
Right. I was thinking the Gannon Burr one when the memes were making it into the filings. Maybe it does.
I have kind of a lighthearted question, Matt. If I can go.
I probably have 2 or 3 more before we get into all the disc golf topics outside of this. Go ahead.
Gotcha. So we've had Natalie on the podcast before. Is there some way somehow that our podcast makes it into a court case in the sense of like they were to say, before. Hey, at 7 minutes, was this asked?
No, I'm saying we've talked about this because we have on record her saying certain things regarding what it might look like in the future.
Yeah, so I'm just curious if like Matt and I are going to get summoned all of a sudden out to California and say, "Hi, I'm Nick from the Nick and Matt Show," or even if it's like, do they have to ask for permission to use our coverage? I don't know how any of that works, really.
I think if they felt that there was something important that was said in there that could help their case, that they could probably use that.
Yeah.
While we're on a lighthearted topic, I will say also. I thought I had done something really shrewd on Thursday before the ruling came out, which is I picked up Natalie Ryan and put her in my fantasy disc golf lineup, and I was feeling pretty smug after the first round about how what a shrewd decision that was. And then I learned pride comes before a fall, they say, and so unfortunately that didn't work out well for me.
You were playing the odds with insider trader information almost. You're like, I think this is what's going to happen.
It's all public information.
All public, right?
So I got to cut off really quick. Eric Triplett in the chat just made me laugh where I had to mute myself, but he goes, "This court case is brought to you by Manscaped and DG Max Wax," and just the way we've done our ads in the past, it was just funny.
That one zoomed over my head. I'm sorry. So let's see. I found out, and this is through other podcasts, Ultiworld. I think it was Ultiworld. They interviewed Natalie's attorney, and I found out he's doing this pro bono. That means without payment up front. That's correct?
Correct. And that's exactly where I learned that fact too.
Okay.
And so, again, I've already given credit to all the attorneys in the case, but I mean, that's certainly an undertaking this significant for someone to do that without any type of compensation. I think it says a lot about his willingness to try to, I think, effect a form of change that he believes in. So whether you agree with the position that he's taken or not, I mean, I think that does say a lot.
Yeah, and that just makes me think, because they were, I don't want to say, I guess, late, They were late to file that restraining order to court. And he says, oh, and this was in the OT World interview. You can go check them out.
Right.
He says like, oh, I felt bad. I was hoping it wouldn't be on me, but I also have my like regular work, you know, like,
Right.
and I think this is an interesting thing to hear. Maybe this is going to sink that ship of, I don't know how much he can handle it. Maybe that's all I'm trying to say.
Matt, I had the exact same thought.
Okay.
I really did.
Okay.
And as you know, not to make this about me, but I am a lawyer and I am practicing in an area of law that I'm passionate about and that I believe in. And you have to make some very difficult decisions sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's certainly paths I could have taken in my career that have been far more lucrative than specializing in representing disc golfers and disc golf related companies. But you know, you're passionate about something and you chase after that. And so I had the same thought. You got at some point, I mean, he's got to put food on his table just like we all do. So
right.
Yeah, I had the same thought.
And just in closing out that thought is that then the Pro Tour immediately files for the appeal. And I'm thinking once I heard that and they asked for it by 5 p.m. the next day, I'm thinking after I had heard that interview with Ulti World and her attorney, I'm going, there's no way this guy is able to respond they asked by like noon the next day. And just having more insider information there or inside information, it's like, wow, that's a lot going on there. My two last, I guess, questions here. And I think you're going to say there's a chance, but we know the Supreme Court only takes usually the biggest, the hardest, whatever. Is there a chance that this makes it to the Supreme Court? I know you'll probably say yes, but like, what odds do you give it?
I've talked to a few people about this. Frankly, people that know more about how cases make their way to the Supreme Court than I do. I think I would say there is a chance. I would say it's not likely. One way that cases do make their way to the Supreme Court is when you have these different circuits, like we were in the Ninth Circuit in California, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, on the ruling on the temporary restraining order. But you know, there's other courts of appeal, other circuits. So if we perhaps were to get different rulings in different circuits, sometimes the Supreme Court will say, okay, Fourth Circuit ruled one way, Ninth Circuit ruled the other way. We're gonna straighten this out so that there's not differing legal precedent in different parts of the country. So I think that could be a possibility, but that's really not my area of expertise, and somebody else can probably answer that more eloquently than I can.
Well, someone had mentioned, and this is now, we thought, you know, talking hot topics with legal court cases and transgender women and competition and disc golf was hot. What about President or ex-president, however you want to refer to it, Donald Trump, putting in the amount of justices that he did, and people would argue, and it's probably pretty common knowledge that it's more conservative. Is President Trump going to be the one who decided what happens in disc golf at the end of it all? You know, not directly so, but it's a crazy thought to have. And then my last question, you have some idea of cost, because we just talked about what, you know, you do this for a living, you don't do it for free. If you had to estimate a cost financially so far that would have went into all to this point, are we talking $500,000, $100,000, like $1 million? Like, I don't even know. Any rough number off the top of your head?
Yeah, in terms of you know, what would be market price for legal fees that parties might have incurred so far, I don't know. My guess would be probably $50,000 to $100,000 so far would be my guess. I mean.
Well, we know Natalie's attorney's not getting that, so that'd be on the Pro Tour side.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Pro Tour and PDGA.
And then anybody who's listening from the Pro Tour or PDGA right now, they're laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Wow, we've got a good deal. Or they're crying.
Right, exactly. And look, that's just one guy. Look, you can ask 10 people more knowledgeable than me, and you probably get 10 different answers. So
you're going to get a call later tonight, Chris, where you're hired.
Have you, I actually don't know if you can answer this, but are you in talks with the Pro Tour or the PDGA's lawyers in the sense of, like, do you know who they are?
I'm not in talks with any of their lawyers, and I mean, I know one lawyer that represents the Pro Tour, but he, to my knowledge, he's not involved. He's not on any of the pleadings or anything. So the lawyers that have been involved in this case, no, I don't know them and haven't talked to them.
Gotcha. Okay.
I reached out to one at one point when we were in discussions with you in the beginning, Chris. We're like, hey, which attorney friend do we want to bring on the show?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I've got connections. I'm an attorney with the Pro Tour. I can't do that. So, but we're happy we went with you either way.
He's the one I know.
Okay.
Well, I mean, kind of know. I've
Yeah.
met him and we've exchanged emails and things like that. And I've got a real high opinion of him. I mean, he did a great.
I will just say shout out to Steve Abreu.
Correct. Yeah. Over at Sunstein.
Yeah.
That's right.
At Sunstein. Awesome. Well, we talked through a lot, and the way my brain works, and I'm sure Nick's starting to get more bored. We could talk forever on this.
Well, I got one more. I got one more really quick. It's just in the sense of like, where are we going from here? Are we going to see another court case happen before the Portland Open? Are we going to see it happen before DDO? Like where? Like, and not obviously we can't tell the future to where like we don't know what exactly is going to happen, but kind of next stage in all of this, where are we at?
Well, Natalie's attorney has said. He's referenced the decision out of Minnesota. I believe that's right. I'm pretty sure it's Minnesota. Believe it was a state court case in Minnesota, but it had to do with somewhat similar fact pattern to Natalie's case, but it was in powerlifting. And there was a decision from a court there that was favorable in favor of the transgender athlete. And so he has publicly said, there's always the possibility that we could bring a case similar to this there. So I don't think before the Portland Open. I would be surprised if anything happens before the Portland Open. We'll see.
All right. The chat is going wild with my mentioning of Donald Trump. Some really hilarious stuff in there right now. Just imagining playing around with Donald Trump, what that would be like. I can only imagine it'd be, my throw was a fantastic throw. In fact, it was one of the greatest, right? That's, anyways. All right. So this has been a crazy show to this point. We talked about a lot of crazy things and different things came up, but hey, Nick was involved in the questions. I know I led a lot of this, but Evan, you chimed in and I'm so proud of you for that. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I got one in.
Good job.
Record.
Do you have more?
Let me before you guys cut me loose. I do want to say, as somebody who just attended the OTB Open, just how impressed I was with how well run it was. Danny and his team at OTB were extremely helpful to us on some things logistically. So I want to give them a shout out and really thank them sincerely for all the help they gave us. And then Sean, tournament directors for this tournament. I think I can safely say I've never been more impressed with a spectating experience at a tournament. So for all your listeners, if you can do it, future years, get out there to OTB. Is pretty special.
Wow. Sean Jacks from out at this neck of the woods up here. He used to live about an hour from us, and then he moved to the West Coast. Great dude, and definitely put a lot of focus on the spectator experience out there.
Yep.
All right. People asked if Ben had any questions. They're like, everyone asked except for Ben. Nothing, Ben?
I got nothing.
Okay.
Good job.
Evan, do you have one last one?
And can I get the fire effect on my?
Well, there's a 4-up fire somewhere.
It's
gonna take him a minute
let's
because
see if I can find
Evan,
it.
while he's figuring that out, go ahead.
I was going to get into what happened in Minnesota, I believe, with powerlifting with trans athletes in the past. If that would be your guess of Natalie and her attorney's next play, if they would go after another state on tour and with the preserve being in Minnesota, or if you would see another state that would make more sense.
No, I think that is exactly the one that would make sense, and he has mentioned that before in the past that could be a likely place where they would where they could file a similar suit. So I mean, to my knowledge, he's not licensed in Minnesota, so you may have to get some help from some local counsel there. But certainly, I mean, right now, to my knowledge, there's only one lawyer in the world that's ever represented a transgender woman disc golfer against the PDGA and the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So I would certainly imagine he would be involved if that did happen.
Yeah. And that the preserve, just for everyone, is the end of June. It'll be before the European swing. So if that does happen, it's going to be sooner than later. That's a month and a half away. So
yeah, it is.
Well, we totally appreciate you coming on. People are asking if we have you on retainer now, but I will be very transparent. Pro bono, discgolf.law.
Thank you very much, guys. It's always a pleasure coming on. I really have a good time. You guys have a great show.
Oh, well, we appreciate it. If you make
Yeah.
it up to this neck of the woods, of course, I say this neck, Nick's down kind of near your area, closer. But if you ever make it up to New England, definitely reach out. We'll do some fun stuff on the course.
I don't think it's going to happen this year, but I can almost guarantee it will happen in 2024. So I'll take you up on that for sure.
I'm trying to remember her name, and I'm going to feel really bad for her, but she approached us at the Northeast Disc Golf Expo and said, Chris said hello. It was
Casey Butke.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for mentioning Casey, because last year she was the operations manager at the Ulibarri Leadership Foundation, where I am the executive director. She's going to come back and work for us for a little while this summer. And so everybody check out Uli.foundation and be generous.
Awesome.
There we go.
Yeah, as I said, go subscribe. If you want a more condensed version, we really broke it down in a lot of different paths tonight.
Yeah.
But check out discgolf.law on YouTube. Great videos there. Keep it up, Chris. We'll stay in touch. And thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. All right, everybody. There's the fire for me.
Matt's
again.
got the
I'm on
fire. What'd you say?
I don't know.
It was a fire interview.
It was a fire.
Man, interviews like that, they're just so in depth, and it's kind of like I could, for the next 2 hours, ask them question on question on question. Just literally just explain it all in layman's terms and let me understand what's going on. And I don't know, it'll, when we do the random talk picks, this will kind of like come back a little bit.
Yeah, there was even more. I had another hour or 2 hours. I could sit all day and talk with them about this stuff. But we're going to move into the segment called Everyone Brings a Topic, but we're going to randomly choose who goes next.
Oh,
Except it can't
I'm
be
not
Ben.
part of it. I could be last.
Okay, so hit the random generator. We're going to see who goes first here.
Well, don't go to Nick. Did we just lose him? Oh, we got
No,
Nick
I'm
back.
back.
We're good.
All right,
Okay.
it's clicking and it chinged. I've just been talking so much.
It literally always goes to
We
Matt.
talked about this pre-show. We tried
Run
it.
it
It didn't
again.
go to me. It didn't go to me pre-show. Okay, here we go. Here it is.
Run it again.
So it can't be me. Okay, no, let's just get me out of the way. What grade do you give these players based off of expectations you had for them going into this season? So far, of course, we don't know the future. But so coming into this season, you had an expectation. You thought, oh, this is going to be great. They came off of last season. This is what I expect. So how do you grade them compared to that? So an A or an A plus would be more than I thought they were going to do. An A would be I thought this is what they would do. Anything less than an A is like, wow, they're really underperforming. Okay. We'll just go around and it can be kind of quick.
Get degrees.
Yep. Just your gut feeling here. We'll start with Ben, actually. Chris Dickerson.
His grade.
Yep.
For the season.
Yep. Based off of how you expected him to do coming in.
B minus.
B minus. What do you think, Nick?
C.
C. What do you think, Evan?
C minus. I think is even being nice. I just haven't heard him much.
That's
like,
not. That is not. Oh, Paige
Does
Drew,
Evan hate
Matteo, and now Chris
Dickerson now?
Dickerson.
Clip it, Ben.
Man hates.
what has he done? Like he
Fire
won a
for
major
Evan.
and
Fire for
an elite
Evan.
or a
Okay.
couple silvers last year, and he's not done a lot this year.
Okay, so I actually agree. I'd say a C, and I know we're only at this point in the season, and we like to overreact, but I'm giving a C. Okay, let's go around again. Ezra Aderhold. Let's go to Nick first. Ezra.
B minus.
Okay, Ben.
From what I expected, A minus. I think he's really doing good. He's had a lot of really great finishes.
Evan.
I'm gonna go A minus as well. Kind of what I expect. Some good finishes, some not so great finishes, like this past weekend. But those happen.
I actually am going A plus, and the reason is I didn't have high expectations for him. So that when he's starting to he's been on lead cards this year, and I think that's significant just in and of its own. We're not here to argue these right now. Let's go next
He led
one.
Disc Golf Pro Tour points earlier this year. I think it was
Okay.
after Vegas. He was the leader in Disc Golf.
I love how the chat's involved
So
right now.
within 2 events.
Let's
Nice.
get everybody
3.
commenting. We can see what's happening here.
2.5.
Okay, next. By the way, 5 MPO, 5 FPO. Here we go. Medio. Medio.
Matteo.
Evan.
Like, I don't want to seem like a Matteo hater.
Yes, you
has he
are
played?
though. You are.
Has he played? Like, I don't even know what he's done this year, which kind of tells
Gut
my
feeling.
grade.
Gut feeling.
Has he played any
Expectation to what
events?
you feel.
Oh man, like I gotta say B plus because because he hasn't underperformed my expectations because he hasn't won.
I'm a
sorry,
B
I was
plus
gonna
as
go
well,
there.
Evan. So right
Yeah.
on the head. B plus. Nick.
I'll say B.
Okay, Ben.
I'm gonna have to go with B plus as well.
Okay.
For the ones he did play, he's got like 8th, 7th, 5th, and then like 30 and 24th. So
Wow.
I'm bringing the stats that I didn't even know.
Okay. Bradley Williams. I'll go first here. I'm giving Bradley an A. No, I'm gonna give him an A plus. I'm borderline, like I didn't expect what I'm seeing this year. That's where I'm at. Ben.
I don't really know. I'd give him. I don't know. I'd give him another B minus. I don't. I know he did good at Blue
He's
Ridge.
underperforming compared to what you expected for this year.
I don't expect anything of him. He won the preserve last year.
Then he should be an A plus for you.
No, B minus. I think he was close in Blue Ridge, but other than that, I don't think it's kind of what I've expected.
All right, Nick.
Yeah. I want to say I give him a B as well. I think he is a really, really good player that doesn't always consistently show it, but has had some solid finishes this year. So, I mean, like, I kind of expect a little bit more out of him. So I think B minus.
Wow. Okay. You're getting it. You expected more. I was going to say, if this is what you expected, then it's an A.
I mean, he's a multiple Elite Series winner, and he's been in contention at a lot of events throughout the years.
Yeah.
And so he's got silky smooth form with every part of his game.
Wins are hard to come by. I still think I stand by the A plus. Evan.
Yep.
I got to quickly say, I think this grading system is tough because
it's guts.
Matt, I know your kids are homeschooled, I believe, right? Like, is it all, they always get A's?
No, we grade on a curve, the bell curve, you know, everyone comes up. You get in an F minus.
A B minus can be a good score plenty times. But this is a great exercise. And
Does everyone get A's? Absolutely not.
I'm going to give Bradley Williams an A. I think I honestly didn't expect him to compete at an event. Compete as in like be like in it to win it last couple of holes. I know he won preserve last year. I wasn't like guaranteeing that would happen this year. He already did that. That was a great showing, even if he didn't take it down.
Okay, last MPO. Remember, I'm going to preface it one more time. Your feelings and expectations for him this season. So what you thought versus what you feel. Okay.
I'm going to say C.
Yeah.
Kevin Jones.
Oh, I'm going to say
not
D.
who I was expecting.
I was expecting Paul and Beth.
I thought you were going to say Paul.
Yeah. Well, now we know your Paul Macbeth's take.
No, Kevin Jones.
Yeah.
I'm not. D is way too harsh. Honestly, I'll go C.
I took a drink right as you said that.
I'll go C minus, to be honest.
To be honest, you expected a lot more.
Yeah.
Prodigy's top paid player.
I'd say C as well. I expect a lot more from him too.
Compared to what I expected, I'm gonna go
this
B.
last weekend.
I might be more of a glass half full kind of guy, but it's based off of expectation, and I feel like he's positive about his finishes. So look at all last year. Every social post after he came out of an event, he's like, oh, this is great, top 10 in a pro tour. Like, you know, like that's what he's basing it off of. Like, he's not like winning things.
They have to be positive.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's not winning things. So like he's not winning things this year. I feel like he is underperforming a little bit compared to last year, but he's not like falling off compared. So I'm going to go B. What do you think, Evan?
Way too generous.
I'm thinking B as well. But again, we're playing it to the game. Listen, hear me out. We're playing it to the game. My expectations this year were low because he didn't have a great season last year.
That's what I'm saying.
I wasn't like, I was expecting a couple events where he has a really good showing, gets a podium, but then a lot of just events where it's a tough field and he can get lost in the competition. And I will say he was only 5 spots behind Eagle McMahon this past week. Ooh. So that's a harsh way to say it. I'm sorry to both of all those parties, but yeah, looking at his record, like 62nd, 50th, 44th, and 60th this past weekend. That is lower than what I expect, but you got to mix it in with earlier this year where he had a 2nd, 5th, and 16. That's above what I would expect. So I'm going to kind of middle it out and say a B is.
Okay. Yeah. Someone in the chat goes, he cost me a grip belt. I give him an F.
That's why I laughed. I read that.
That's on you.
Okay. So here we go. FPO to wrap this segment up. Own Scoggins. Ben.
I'd say she's exceeding my. I'd say A. I think Owen's doing.
Exceeding is A plus. A is what you expected.
Oh, A. Okay, then yeah, A. What I expected. She's still like top 2 in the world. Debatable, but she's doing really well.
What do you think, Nick?
I wouldn't say top 2 in the world. I would say top 5 in the world. But
I mean, according to Statman,
honestly,
Not according to ours. She's 4th in ours.
no,
Yeah,
Statman knows last year. Come on,
What?
I don't know.
A minus. I give it for Owen for A minus. Like she's literally doing exactly what I think Owen Scoggins can do, and she's kicking ass with it at the same time. So
Evan?
A minus.
Well, one, I'm going to pull up Owen Scoggins in the official rankings all time.
I'm going to answer then. I think it's either A minus or B plus based off of my expectations coming into this year. With this current finish that she just had at OTB, it's probably leaning more towards A minus. So I'll give it that.
Yeah, the best she's ever done in the Statmando official rankings is 4th, which is what she is right now.
Oh, was it you?
So,
I knew she was
take
2
that.
at some point. So
We don't.
It could have been
use
that.
Disc's power rankings, man.
I mean, the Pro Tour does along with Statmando. So come on, I can do that.
I think DG rankings, which was Steve Dodge's, I know she has been high on there. So I don't know exactly which Ben is referencing, but
I don't know.
I would probably give Owen Scoggins an A. It's close to an A plus, and I think especially this past weekend at OTB, it's my expectations for Owen are get a lot of podiums, not every single week, but a lot of times, be kind of in contention to win, but somebody else is going to come out and end up winning. But it's the courses that we're seeing her play well at. I mean, OTB Open was not a course. I mean, they did shorten it a whole lot and make it a lot more suitable for the division, but this is not a course you expect her to excel at. But yes, she does. And that's happened a few other times. So it is a little bit exceeding expectations, but still not quite, because it's overall still what I expect from Owen Scoggins.
Here we go. Paige Pierce. Putting Nick on the Nick up there.
Paige Pierce. I would give A minus.
Okay.
And I say that because like I almost want to say B or B plus, but she's talking about some injuries going on in her life and she's got a lot going on. So for her to still come out, she's got what, 2 Elite Series wins now? Yeah.
I give
Not too
her
bad.
Yeah, I give her, oh man, did you say A minus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm following you on that one because I feel like there's a few events where I was like, oh man, what is happening? Like that I would have to go the minus. I almost wanted to go the A, but I'm going to have to say A minus. Evan.
Let me just make sure I have my ranking calibration set up. A minus, is that what you expected?
No, that's a little bit less than, it's just literally a little bit less than expected. A would be expected.
I think A is what is expected. I think at this stage, with what we've seen from Paige Pierce, we're going to expect wins, but we're also going to expect just totally lost some weekends. Just, her mind may not be in it and it's not her weekend. Let's move on. And that's what we've seen this year. We've seen some events where she's just not in it, whether it's mentally or the recent injury. Then we've seen some weeks where she plays amazing and no one is beating her. I think Paige Pierce wins this, even with Kristen Tatar in the field. She looked fantastic. Again, Kristen Tatar has only had 6 event ratings better than this, than what Paige Pierce just did. So I think it's about what I expected.
I'm interested. I didn't bring up the chat at all, but I'm seeing actually a fair amount of C's, C minuses, B pluses.
Yeah.
People are crazy.
Yeah,
people be sleeping on Paige Pierce.
They had high expectations.
We have always known Paige to be someone who is either winning the competition and sometimes by a lot of strokes, or someone who's just not even in contention. Like it's, with a couple, obviously second place finishes and all that, but yeah, she's a balls to the wall kind of player. She goes for it. She tries to win, and that's what she cares about, is winning.
Ben, did you give a grade?
I did not. I'm gonna say B, because I do actually expect a lot more for a big Paige Pierce fan. And yeah, she's had some bad finishes, so I expect a lot more. My lineup, literally, if you haven't noticed, who I picked: Kat Merge, Ella Hansen, Paige Pierce. I don't think I've deviated from those picks.
You haven't picked Kristen Tatar once this year?
I don't think so. I don't think I ever have.
So when we had her on, he holds up the disc like he's the biggest fan in the world.
I had a lot of discs because she's Kristen Tatar.
Okay, here we go. Moving on, so we can get to these other segments you guys brought. Missy Gannon. I'll go first here. I am going to give her a B plus. Evan.
I'm going to be a little harsh here. I'm saying C plus. I don't know if she's truly been in the contention to win. I think Jonesboro, she was in the mix a little bit, maybe final round lead card. She's not someone who I wouldn't be shocked if she doesn't win an event this year, but I do expect her to at least be competing and being in the mix, and then fairly solid overall. She's had some weeks where she's been as out of it as, you know, Paige Pierce is on her off weeks, but that's what we know, the roller coaster rounds. Missy Gannon's a little bit more consistent, and she hasn't been that this year. I'm a little bit surprised with that, without seeing the top end of the roller coaster either.
Wow, the chat. I'm so grateful for you commenting. It's so insightful. Nick, we'll give him in a minute, but Nick, what do you got?
C plus. I'm gonna roll with Evan on this one.
You expected a lot more. Ben.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Big money Missy, dude.
I'm gonna go B.
She's gotta hold true to that nickname.
I do expect a little more from her, but I also don't expect too much. I think she's a top 5 player, but she can be anywhere from 1 to 10 any given week. So I'm just gonna say B, and that's where she's kind of fallen on. So
Quick reading of the chat gives me that about 50% of you think she's performing as you expected. I'm surprised.
I'd say maybe a little less.
There's some that are saying less, but half of you are saying she's performing as you expected. 2 more. Ella Hansen, Ben, you're up.
A plus. My girl Ella. Oh my goodness.
How many girls? Kat, Ella.
Kat and Ella are my all-star, just up-and-comers. Paige is just my all-star.
Okay.
But yeah, Ella A plus. I think she's doing amazing. Almost won Waco, and performed well at OTB Open. She just had like a few bad holes in the last round. Like I think she had 2. She got like a 7 and then a 5. But other than that, I think she's doing very well, and I'm very proud of you, Ella.
I'm giving her an A. I think she's performing as expected to me. Nick.
Yeah, I'll give her an A.
As expected in your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, Evan.
Yeah.
See, I'm thinking a little bit differently. I'm giving like a B or B plus. I can't quite figure it out, but I had this trajectory for Ella on this huge rise, and I think she's still getting better each week or overall week to week. I think it's leveling out a little bit and a little bit earlier than I would expect it to. I didn't expect her to be in the mix for a win at Waco, but I did expect something like that this year, at least to this point. And there's only been one of those, and ultimately didn't go her way. I am a little bit surprised that she hasn't been like really in the mix to win more often. Like she faded out. This OTB Open was her event to get with a few others, and she didn't really totally show up as much as Paige Pierce did. It sounds harsh because I think her season is definitely an A so far, but it's going on the trajectory that I think it's a little bit lower than I would have expected.
Shout out to Harry Chase. If you've heard his name, he's been on Simon's vlog a few times, friend of our show. He goes, C should be meeting the standard for next time. But here's the deal. You set the standard at the beginning of the year. This is what I'm saying. You said it. You said this is the expectation.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going with this. You set the expectation. And so if you meet it, you get the A. That's how I see it. But I like that take, Harry.
I'm with Harry.
Okay.
C's get degrees. Let's go.
See, I actually think in life at school, I'm like, yeah, C's meet.
degrees.
C is meet. It's not exceeding, but it's meeting. Okay, here we go. Last one. Paige, Shoe, Evan.
Again, I say like
You better give her an A because you expected this.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. So hold on. I said I don't think she'll be a top 5 player this year, and I think I've been proven correct. So that is true.
A.
So,
A plus.
I also expected her to be in contention to be a top 10 player, and I'll be honest, I have no clue where she's finishing. I just haven't heard her name a lot, and I don't mean that to be mean. I know her and Grady are raising a baby, and she's not playing every event. I truly don't know where she's finishing, and I obviously do a lot of the stats and research and stuff.
She just won an A tier.
That's not a good thing. That's fantastic. She can win. Like that sounded really sassy. I am so sorry.
You really don't like Paige Shoe.
Yep.
Paige Shoe is totally capable of taking down any A tier across the country.
But based off of your expectations coming in this year and the way you're feeling now,
I think she could be a top 10 player, and she is not. So I'm going to say B minus. That's a little bit on the nice side.
Yeah. I am going to actually say, yeah, actually, I'm in that same boat. B minus. I think she's underperforming compared to how I expected for this year. Ben.
I'd say B. I don't really know what to expect from her. This is her first time back ever since I've been in the scene,
I was just gonna
believe.
say,
So I don't
yeah,
really know what to expect.
True. Nick.
I'll go. I don't want to say A because she's meeting my expectations because I didn't really have kind of that big of expectations for her this year. I think she could be a Pro Tour finale player, which I think is 24 spots in the FPO division.
I think 20.
I
20. believe it's 20.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know where she's at in the standings right now, so I'll say B.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. B. Thank you, Todd, in the chat. He goes, what you expect doesn't mean they will play well. It's what you thought they would do. And it's true. If you think they were doing bad this year, like coming into it, you're like, they do bad and they do that. We're like, that's an A because you nailed it. It's more like you nailed it as opposed to they're nailing it. Okay. That was the segment.
Before we move on, I want to clear things up. I know you three guys around razz me and I'll always take it. I will always take it, but I want people to know, and I think Paige deserves this because Paige Shue, because she is
on to the next segment.
Nice.
No, I'm kidding.
She's incredibly nice and kind. I think she absolutely could be a top 10 to 15 player. I am hoping for that. I don't think she's a top 5 player, and that's where this all comes from.
And that ad was brought to you by Paige Shue, who paid Evan to say that.
Bro, I took it.
I wish.
I took it.
What is she throwing this year? I'll get some Paige Shue. Well, obviously, but I mean, what this? I'll take some Paige Shue.
I think it's Z Ringers, something like that.
Dude,
nah,
I took it with Calvin for a solid year and a half. People were like, he hates him. I'm like, I hope he wins. I'm just making my picks. Okay. All right. So moving on, do the selector. If it's me again, we'll go to the person to my right, which I think that'll be Evan.
Would be me.
If it's you guys should be me.
Oh,
go ahead. Let's see. Hopefully it's not me. If it is, it's rigged.
It's Nick.
It's Nick. Nick's up. Segment with Nick. Bring it.
Oh, so I'm actually bringing the segment now.
Yeah. What's yours?
Oh, okay. So my segment, it's, no game or anything, but I wanted to talk about, I was talking with some friends this weekend about it and disc golf media. And this was obviously a very big weekend in the disc golf media world. We had Ulti Worlds kind of keeping everyone up to date, but we've also seen in the past Ulti Worlds come out with stuff a little bit premature. So it was kind of like disc golf media in general. I'm calling out Ulti Worlds because they were probably the most relatable one when it came to all the Natalie Ryan stuff, and then same thing with the Gannon Berg stuff. And then when we would have a chance, we'd be able to have our show and be able to talk about it. So let's take the Nick and Matt show, Ulti Worlds, Foundation, all the different podcasts that are kind of out there, Smashbox, and then just other blogging websites and everything like that. But disc golf media this past weekend just literally felt like TMZ. It was like, and I'll straight up call out Ulti Worlds for it, but every single time Ulti Worlds got something and they went out and posted about it, I'm like, I'm literally reading a TMZ article right now because they're the first or second to know about the whole thing.
I have to tell people why I'm laughing real quick because that sounded very mean. You said I'll pick on Ulti World, and I laughed.
Yeah, I
had the previous segment in my head, so when you were saying the names of these other like media people, I was grading them based off of how I expected them. Anyways, so yes, media, it's interesting. So finish out your thought and what you want for feedback.
Yeah, just kind of like, and obviously the way that anyone's going to know what's going on in the disc golf world is through media. I mean, we are a media channel here at the Nick and Matt show. We try to be pretty, I would say, unbiased for the most part. We've had all different types of conversations roll through the Nick and Matt show, and I think we try to keep a level head for the most part. When it comes to the more serious stuff, I mean, not everyone knows what my views are on my political stance or my religious stance, because I try to keep the Nick and Matt show talking about disc golf and giving other people a platform to come in and talk about disc golf as well and what's going on in the disc golf world. But just this last weekend, hanging out with friends, and every single time a new article will pop up, and it's just like, here we go. Now, I don't know, we're just reading drama the whole time, and Ulti World was kind of the face of it coming out with all of this. So I don't know. That was really, I don't really know where to go from there with my segment. If you guys feel the same way.
I'm going to step in, and I think I disagree with you, Nick. I will state, though, I don't believe I've read any of the Ulti World articles that have come out this past week with the Natalie Ryan situation, so I'm not up to date on those. I've been, hearing the headlines and just general chatter going on. But I think we overemphasize, and we being not just the Nick and Matt show, not just us four, but also just all of disc golf, we overstate what TMZ of disc golf is. I think looking up facts that or or having stories that aren't the prettiest do need to happen sometimes. And now sometimes they can go too far, but that's not quite TMZ level. And I think that is an important distinction, because TMZ to me, you know, I don't want to disrespect TMZ, but I mean, I feel like they have that nature to them, is it's more of like paparazzi style, and it's really like taking a headline or a clipping and running with it in a totally different direction. And I think Foundation got a lot of this heat. I think it probably was during the Ricky Wysocki saga, going from Innova to
the
Dynamic
offseason
Disc,
brings out a lot of it.
Yeah, I don't think that was TMZ at all. I think that was them hearing sources, just like we hear sources or other people hear sources, and running with a story. Hey, this is a cool new thing, trying to get views. This is what we heard. It's not we're making up out of thin air. If I just said right now, yeah, Ricky Wysocki is playing basketball for the rest of his career instead of disc golf, like that would be like totally making something up and being wrong. But if, you know, someone told me that and it was a good source and I run with it, that's not TMZ. That's a weird scenario. I'm sorry for bringing that up. That made no sense. But that's not TMZ. So
yeah. So
I'm just trying to take the other side of it, and I stand by coming up with those stories.
Let me give my thought, Nick, and then close it out if you want.
Yeah.
To your point, I don't know if I know what you mean when you're saying TMZ. I know what you mean when you're saying that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like we're reporting on Kobe Bryant's death before Kobe Bryant's family even hears about it. Like it's just more like the blasting of articles with the more clickbaity titles, or like, you know, is this a win-win or lose-lose situation? Or who lost in this situation? Stuff like that.
Yes. Okay. So like UC Mesmera was in the news last year. I think it was last year. I don't remember when it was now. Legal issues. Like reporting on that was a little bit questionable to me. I know it's related to disc golf in some ways, but it's also like not disc golf. So let the business run the business. I don't think we needed to hear about that, but maybe we do, because it affects Discmania at some level, and maybe it was going to turn into something bigger in disc golf world. But that kind of thing, I'm kind of like, eh. The other thing is, I guess we're kind of picking on Ultiworld a little bit here, which is good for them. They're in the topic, but
well, they're definitely the most, and I'll give Ultiworld the credit for this. They're definitely the most active when it comes to any of this. Like we ourselves at the Nick and Matt Show, we are active when it comes to our group chat, talking about all these things, but we really don't talk about it until Monday night at 7:00 rolls around, and then we have our platform to talk about it. We're not a blogging website. We're not a podcast that you know is also a blogging website. So
I will say one more thing, and it's not airing of grievances so much as it is like we had the chance, the privilege, the honor to get the exclusive interview with Simon with his change to MVP, and I had discussions with him prior to the show, and I said, "So can we talk about your financial deal?" And he said, "I said X amount of dollars this many years," and he goes, "Where'd you hear that?" And I said, "Ultiworld." He goes, "I never told Ultiworld that." And I don't want to disclose everything here, but if you go read that article, it looks the way it is published. If you read it in the order that it is written, it says, "Here's the deal," and Simon comments on the deal, but Simon never. Anyways, things like that make me feel a little like, come on.
That was one of the bigger ones that I'm glad you brought that up, where Ultiworld had come out with more stuff than they were supposed to, and maybe it was a source from inside of MVP who wasn't supposed to be talking about it as well. But
well, I was just going to say, my final thought on is I bring up these topics. I think they have the right. I think they have the role in the sport to do this. I don't see anything wrong with it. I just a personal stance would have liked to see things differently, but everybody's their own person. So like everyone's going to look at it differently, just like, and I'm going to take this a little different direction, commentators in disc golf. Like literally you like someone or you hate someone. Everybody has a different opinion on that. I don't know that there's wrong. I wouldn't go that far at all at this point with Ultiworld. I think they are great for, I use them as a source. So there you go. Win for them. All right, let's move into the next segment unless anyone wants to close that one out. Okay.
Nope.
Let's see. Who's it going to be, Ben? If it's me or Nick, it's Ben.
I already went.
If it's me or Nick, it's going to be going to Ben. Oh, it's Evan.
Oh, it actually went to Evan.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, okay. So I have two things. One's very quick because I wasn't really sure how this was going to play out.
However
it's
you
gonna be
want.
a little bit more like Nick, but I'm gonna just say a statement, and you guys just kind of tell me if you agree, and we can go on with it. But that's the short one. Then I got a fun little game. What I want to start on is just a general statement. Stop gatekeeping what disc people like to throw. As in, if you have somebody who can only throw 250 feet and they're taking out their new Calvin destroyer, don't be like, hey, you shouldn't throw that until you're good enough. You should stick to your mid ranges and 9 speeds. If someone wants to throw it, and even if they're throwing it with bad form or whatever, and they're making it work for a different shot, that's awesome. And that's what disc golf's about. And that's what's so cool about the sport, that we have all these different kinds of discs and you make work with what you have. And I'm going to go straight to the Pro Tour. If you're the person who says you need to throw 450 feet before you're throwing a destroyer or a similar distance driver, look at what Owen Scoggins was doing, shredding the course. She throws destroyers. She's not the farthest thrower. I don't know how far she can go on her max distance. It's not crazy far, but she throws that incredibly well and incredibly reliable, and she knows what that's going to do, what it's going to do, and it works fantastic for her. She has her disc down, even if some, amateur kid who can throw 500 feet, kind of like Ben, but not Ben's personality. As in, Ben, you're really good and you throw far. That's my point. I'm just going here.
I'm not that great. I'm trying to get better, but I can throw far.
No, Ben,
Thank
you are. But Ben, if you had a bad attitude with you, you would condescend people because of your skill, is what I'm going at. That's a weird analogy. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place today. So I just don't think people should do that. Let people throw what they want, because discs are cool.
Yeah. I thought that, I'm just going to echo off of that. I thought that's always a thing. They'd be like, hey, you can't throw a destroyer. You can't throw a nuke. Nick, I was throwing Glow OS nukes.
Matt got me hooked on forces and nukes like 3 weeks into me playing. And I still can't throw them well.
I think, yeah, it's funny. That's so funny. Because
I do throw them okay now.
I had this conversation with my dad this week. Shout out to my dad if you're listening. There you go, Dad. Hope I put a smile on your face. So if we talked about the discs come out, here's how it should fly, here's what the flight path, here's how it looks. And it's like, for who? For which player? So I think you're totally right. If I choose to throw an overstable disc because Nick knows I can do flex, turn, like force overs, a backhand, like I think, yeah, do it, man. Throw the stuff that's good for you. I will say this last thought with kids in mind. I give them, like, from their young age, like a 115 DX Leopard, let them beat it in. It's like a paper plate. If you can learn how to throw that, you understand the flight of a disc, because you have to have touch and control, and it's really cool to see. But that was a cool
I would
one.
never gatekeep someone out of buying a disc, especially if they're like, oh, it's just a really pretty disc, I want to buy that. Absolutely, go by all means and do it. You might not be able to throw it very well, but that's where the conversation now comes in.
Oh, he froze up. What was your second thought, Evan, or topic? Did you have one?
Yeah, this was going to be a quick game where we're just... Oh,
you're back.
Yes, you are.
But Evan's already into the game.
Sorry. Oh, we're in a game now?
Yeah, we are.
Welcome, Nick.
Dang. Well, really quick, let me just finish up what I was saying. But I would never gatekeep someone out of a disc. But, if that amateur, like below amateur player is buying a destroyer and trying to throw that, in the woods and trying to make it do what it's really not supposed to do, that's when I would say, like, hey, what about, toning down to a speed 7, speed 8, speed 9, or even sometimes a mid-range.
Can I just give my opinion real quick?
Give it, Ben.
All right, I can throw far, whatever. That's what people tell me. And I think a lot of that had to do, me throwing far was obviously working on my form, but I think a lot of it had to do was me just trying over and over to throw the destroyer. Yeah, at first it was terrible and it hooked. But the more I tried to get it over lakes and the more I lost it in hole 9 buff, the better I got, and the more I just kept trying, and then eventually, I started getting a little turnout destroyer. So,
but did you keep trying? Did you keep trying to throw a destroyer on wooded courses?
Oh no!
Or did you go out? Or did you go out into a field and practice?
It was more like
destroyers?
open bomber. I think I had the knowledge that no, I'm not going to throw a destroyer in the woods. It was more like hole 1 Maple Hill, like blues. I can literally like walk up and like throw a putter now. But before, I couldn't even make it over, so I would huck my heart out, trying to learn how to make it over water. And I'm not saying that's a best method. Like, you'll probably lose a lot of discs, but that's just what I did. I just kept trying, and I didn't care if I lost it because one day I knew I was going to get over that water.
You did,
and that's a good analogy for life.
All right, so Evan, what's your game?
All right, quick game is just I'm going to name a player, and you're going to tell me their best place they've ever had in the disc golf pro tour standings by any week, not just year end, not just where they are this current week.
Wow.
Like if I say Ricky Wysocki, it's going to be first because he has led at multiple points, but it could have been, after, the second event in 2016,
Wait, you're saying their best finish,
What?
their best finish ever.
their best placing by any week. So another example is Luke Sampson was leading Disc Golf Pro Tour points after
So it's
both.
points.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
points.
after both Lake Marshall and New World.
It's points. I understand
Yes.
now. Okay.
So what I'm going to start off with is Emerson Keith. I actually don't have where they are on the Disc Golf Pro Tour points right now, but it's where Emerson Keith was best in Disc Golf Pro Tour points. What was his
All
highest
time
place he
ever.
has ever been after any event? So here's how it's going to go. It's going to go in order. Let's go Nick, Matt, Ben.
Knick-knack, paddywhack.
Paddywhack. I was
You
literally
guys
gonna
will
say
go
that.
off of the other person, and it's going to be Price is Right rules. So if everyone is too high, then the point goes to me. So somebody could just say 1 because they think everyone else is too high. So that's where the benefit
Okay,
to the
cool.
last is, and then we'll rotate around. So Emerson Keith, what was his highest Disc Golf Pro Tour points standings place after any event?
Let's go, chat.
Since 2016, not just this year. Since 2016,
Don't look at the
Emerson
chat.
Keith,
They're gonna look it up.
best standings place he has ever been. Nick.
How could they look that
I
up?
don't know.
34th.
34th,
Ouch. Mans hates Emerson Keith.
18.
10th.
All right, this was an easy one. Point goes to me. He was 3rd in Disc Golf Pro Tour points in
What?
2020
Oh, wow.
after the
why
Silver
did I
Cup,
say
which was a
1?
silver event.
I didn't play the
I
game.
don't know.
I didn't play the
All right.
game. Dang it.
This see
Oh, right.
This-
Yes, I get
so,
the over. The price
point
is
with
right.
me. We
there
don't
now.
have points, but Evan
Okay.
has 1. We're starting with Nick, then Nick, Ben,
You
Nick.
could have picked one.
So Nick, you finish it
wasn't
out.
thinking.
Let's go Eric Oakley.
Am I, or is it always Nick?
Yeah, no, Matt, you're first this time.
Eric. Oh man. So being last is easy.
Best
Okay.
Disc Golf
Yeah.
Pro Tour points standings place he has ever been after any event.
14.
I'll go 3rd.
Wait, you're
I was
saying
gonna go
3rd?
7.
Ooh, see that's good right there because Nick has
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get in between. He
No,
can go.
I'm not going to play the let me do the cheap one.
No, it
down
is. That's the point of
low.
this game. It's
Go
Price
for
is
Oh,
it.
Right.
well, we're not playing for
He said
money. I'm going to go
7.
7.
All right. Well, hey, Nick, that was a pretty good guess because you're right. It was 7th
Whoa.
after
Wow.
2018 Jonesboro. All right. Moving on to the next one, we got Jakub Semerad starting with Ben.
Oh,
We got a point
I
for
love
Nick, point for me.
Jakub. I talked to him one time and I said adios to him and he said adios in his accent and I love that. We're a very sweet guy. Jakub, we
Is that
love
how
you.
you say goodbye in Czech?
No, in Spanish. I was vending discs and he wanted to buy one of my discs and I was like, oh, like no, yeah, no problem. Like, sorry, I don't have it. And then I just said adios. He said adios. Anyways,
Nice. That's fun.
It's a
All right,
moment that
Jakub
Ben had.
Semerad, best place he's
Um,
ever been after Disc Golf Pro Tour points.
I'm gonna go 7. No, 7.
Whoa.
Yeah, 7.
All right, Nick.
24th.
Oh, Nick, you did it to me. I was gonna go 20, but I feel like
Go 20.
no. He did 7. I'm gonna do 8.
Oh,
No, you'd want to do
right.
6. You'd want to do 6.
Nope.
The answer is 44th. So that goes to Nick.
God.
Nick's leading with 2 points.
Uh,
All right. Over to FPO. We have 3 more, and then we'll finish up. Emily Beach. Best Disc Golf Pro Tour standings points she's ever been. Nick, we're starting with you.
3rd.
what are you gonna do, Ben?
know what
Ben's going to do 1.
4th.
okay, 5th.
All right. Point goes to Ben. It is 9th in 2022 after
No, no,
DDO.
no, no.
I thought I nailed it with 4.
All right, we got 2 for Nick, 1 for Ben, 1 for myself. I do better than this than I've ever done in stat or fiction or ABCs, knowing what the scores are. When there's no scores, I remember better, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's go Maria Oliva, starting with Matt.
8. Who's up?
Me.
Ben.
I'm gonna go 1.
Destroy him, Nick. Do 2.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I should have been 3.
2.
No.
All right, the answer is 3rd. Point goes to Nick, and I think that clinches
I
it.
said 3.
Because Nick's,
I
should've
almost
said
went 3.
I said I
Nick-
said I should have said 3. Darn
but
it.
Nick, you got the point either way. So Nick has
You went
3, Ben
1.
has 1, I
I
have
just
1.
didn't play the
It is
game right.
It is clinched for Nick. Nick has 1. Congrats, Nick. But let's do the last one for fun. Stacy Haas. Best Disc Golf Pro Tour point she's ever been after any event.
Who starts it?
This is
Ben.
Ben this time. Then Nick, Matt.
I'll go 5th.
9th.
Oh, Nick, every time I'm gonna go like I was gonna go like 20th, you went 23rd or something. I'm gonna go 8, you go 9. I'm like, I should go with 8, but I'm gonna play one. It's probably 8. I'm going 10 though.
All
That was
right.
I think that was the smarter one.
Yeah, point goes to Matt. It is 18th.
Oh,
It was actually
18.
after Las Vegas Challenge this season in 2023.
Okay. I thought it might have
That's
been
it.
after the Tallahassee
Boom.
Open.
Good
I
game.
thought
Win.
like that was her chance with that
Give me
win.
my money.
Yeah, I should have looked like when those.
Oh, but that's
when
a
you would've
silver
guessed them
event. She would
been.
have gotten like 25 points, right?
You know, silver's last year when they were only 25. Now they're
Yeah,
50.
never
So
mind.
yeah.
Bad idea. Okay. So that was it. So we're gonna let the picker pick who goes next. Oh wait, I guess it's Ben.
Yes.
All right, Ben. We haven't done this music too much
Oh.
today. There. Next up,
Oh.
Ben, Kenny, everyone.
Ooh.
I,
All right.
So this is not a game. I actually came up with a game before Evan.
Games.
Sorry.
Game night on the Nick and Matt show.
Yeah, and before Matt.
Oh yeah, I guess. Anyways, so this game is called Recency by Us. Oh,
Goodness.
all right, Recency by Us. Basically, we had a season, Disc Golf Pro Tour season last year. I'm just gonna test to see how well you guys paid attention to the silver events, and basically, it's a simple game. I'm gonna give you an event. You're gonna write it down in your head. Don't change it. The MPO winner and FPO winner of that event. See if you remember.
Like 6 events, or are you gonna pick how many you're doing about?
I mean, yeah, I could do 6. I'm just going down the list. You
All
want to do 6?
Well, I don't know if we do
There's
all
8.
20.
There's only 8.
Okay,
So.
okay, we can do it.
No, it's only silver. I could have done Pro Tour. But
Oh, okay. Here we go.
anyways,
This is last year.
yeah, last year.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with the Open at Belton. So just think in your head,
Oh my goodness.
and yeah, because
It's who won.
Yeah, who won? It was pretty recent, and I
Okay.
think it's easy but hard.
So call on us.
All right, I'm set.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm
We'll
good.
We'll just go down the list. We'll go Nick first.
Chris Dickerson, Katrina Allen.
Correct.
Oh, dang.
All right. Wait, should I say correct or
You don't have to.
Okay.
I said Kat and Ricky. It
okay?
was Kat and
So
Dickerson.
Nick and Evan get 2 points. Matt gets 1.
Yeah, so I guess I'll actually write it down.
Yeah, write
Yeah.
it down just
Yeah.
so we can
For
keep
the audio
track.
listeners, I held up Dickerson and Katrina Allen. Just want to.
No, he didn't. He had something else.
I was as smart as Nick.
He's a liar.
All right.
As soon as Ben says correct, I'm like, tick, 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 Dickerson.
Yeah, I know. I forgot. I was like, wait, should I say correct? And if you're playing this in the chat or in the car, you can play along. Let us DM us what you.
If you're
scored.
driving, don't write your answers.
Oh yeah, true. But DM us after what you scored. Music City Open 2022. Who won? FPO, MPO.
Oh, dang it.
Ooh, Matt's gonna fall behind 2 more, or just 1 more. You had 1 of them last time. All right, I'll stop talking trash if I can't get it right.
All right, just let me
dang.
know when you guys are ready.
I'm good.
I need 5 more seconds.
4, 3, 2.
I don't have it right.
One.
FPO, or MPO maybe either. But here we go.
All right.
Why don't we go with Matt first?
Yeah,
Matt, go
Mason
ahead.
Ford and Missy Gannon. It's not Missy Gannon, but I couldn't think of who it was.
All right, should I go next?
Yeah, I got it wrong.
No, because I think Matt had FPO
Yeah,
right. It was
Gannon is
Dickerson
right.
and Missy
Oh, I
Gannon.
actually had FPO right, but not.
Yeah. Good job.
I
Matt.
wrote Dickerson and Pierce, but yeah, didn't Mason Ford win it, or was that
No,
20?
Mason
Dickerson
Ford was the
won
year
2021.
before.
Dickerson won it
Oh.
Mason Ford was the year before. I was just couldn't.
when it was the
figure
national tour.
That was with Haley King, I believe.
And I was gonna
Right,
pick
it was the
Haley
last
King, but I was like,
national
I don't think it was
tour.
that year. So, anyways, I got 1 again.
Wait, so was it? It was Dickerson and Gannon.
Missy Gannon. Yes.
so
yeah.
you get none.
Well, yeah,
I get 1.
obviously.
I got 2 now. I'm tied with Nick. Evans in the lead. 3.
I got 4.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, 4. You
I'm
got
100%.
Wait, are
2.
we getting a point per person?
Yeah,
Yes.
point per person.
Oh, then I have 3.
Yeah, you
I
get
got
3.
Dickerson
That
on
makes
that
the
one.
most
I have
sense to
2.
me. Open at Tallahassee. 2022. MPO, FPO.
All right, I'm set.
Evan's gonna kill this.
All right.
Man's a
If
stat.
I get
going-
one wrong, I'm actually going to be bummed.
I'm going Calvin and Hokum.
Wait, Nick
Oh,
Cash had
boy.
this event. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. Good
Yeah, I
job.
got
Matt-
last cash. I made a 400-foot flick on the final hole to cash. It was sick.
Like a 400-foot throw.
Am I wrong?
off the
No,
top?
no,
Is it
no.
Kevin
Like
Jones?
it was an elevated pyramid basket, and I threw a really, really good flick to go like 15 feet behind it. Then it
Dang
made
it,
it.
was it even
No,
Hokum?
Matt, Matt, you got both wrong.
Yeah, I don't even think either of those players were there, Matt.
All right, so you already said it, Matt?
Oh, wait. What event was this? Open at Tallahassee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of the other Florida event. What was the
And
other
it's
one?
funny too because Matt was just
Well-
talking about who won the event in FPO because
Yes.
of the points.
It's Stacy Haas. I know who it is. I was thinking, what's the other event that was in Florida?
New World?
Yeah, New
'Cause you didn't have
World.
that
No.
right either.
It was a different event. I'll have to remember what it is.
Throw down the mountain.
Mm-mm. Someone in the
So,
chat
all
will
right.
fill me in.
Well,
but anyways, I'm wrong.
Evan, I think you were supposed to be first, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
I got
Evan.
Tom and Haas.
Yeah.
Yep, Evan's
I
correct.
got Tom and Haas.
Good job.
What's the event that Calvin won in Florida? A lot, I know, but it used to be on the Pro Tour. It's not anymore. This is a
I
trivia
have no
question for
idea.
you.
Used to be on the Pro Tour's
Silver
not been in
event.
Florida. It's not been in Florida besides the
I don't remember
Pro
what
Tour
it is.
Championship at New World.
Yeah.
I'm way off my rocker.
Like
I'll
in
figure it
national
out
tours,
later.
maybe.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out later. Maybe it was in Arkansas.
Alrighty. Next one,
Next
Masters Cup. Yep.
Oh, man,
Evan,
this is too easy.
dude, you are a recency.
Masters Cup last year.
I should have done the Elite Series. I was thinking about it, but
That would have been easier.
I know. Not, but there's so many. That's the thing.
Oh man,
There's actually one that I'm going to struggle with. Oh, I got that one. Yeah, I know who won that one. Okay. I'm thinking ahead, sorry.
I don't know. Brain
Oh.
freeze.
Oh no, there is one I don't. Oh man, sorry. I'm thinking
So are
ahead
you-
and talking out loud.
Evan, are you 6 for 6 or 8 for 8? How many have we done?
6 for 6.
Hamas
Okay.
was
And I'm
close.
events.
5. I'm 5 for 6.
Hamas was close at this event. I don't know why that's standing out to me. Proctor was on the lead card. I feel like, but I don't know who
5
won.
seconds, Matt.
I don't know. I
Five.
don't have
Hey,
any.
fun fact: the FPO leader was off the chase card.
Yeah, I don't know. That just tells me
Cool.
how important silver events are to me.
All right.
All right. I think I
Evan,
started
go
this
ahead.
one, but
Yeah,
Gannon, Berg,
Gannon,
and
Berg.
I wrote Cat Allen.
that's not right.
Evan, you're too good. Show us, Evan. Show us the way.
It is Gannonburr and Sarah Hokum.
Correct.
Of course, there's a Hokum pick.
Ella Hansen was leading in the final round.
So you're 8 for
Sarah
8.
Hokum
I'm
won
6
from the
for
Right.
chase
8.
card.
Did you get both
Only
wrong?
one of
Oh yeah, no, I
only one
didn't
of
even
two
make a
FPO
pick.
chase card wins on
Yeah.
tour.
That
All right,
that
what's
event
next?
I'm thinking of
Beaver
is going to
State
drive
Fling,
me
let's go.
crazy.
Beaver State Fling, correct, is the next one. It seems like Evan's gonna run away with this, but
I don't know silver events. Like I guess I.
that's
don't pay
why I
attention.
picked it.
Beaver State Fling. I guess Portland Open was kind of the exciting one last year.
I know Eagle wanted to play it or did.
All right, I'm all set. And
No idea.
Matt is struggling.
No,
Give me
I
10
literally
seconds.
don't care about silver
Give me 10
events, and
seconds,
they
I
don't
got
either. Okay, go. But yes, I am losing. And
All right,
I'm,
go
I'm-
ahead,
I'm
Evan.
upset.
Wait, hold on.
No, I'm gonna go last because I know I'm
Go
right.
ahead, man.
All right. You want me to go
yeah,
first?
go ahead.
All right. Garrett Gerthy, Cat Allen.
All right,
1 for
Matt.
2.
That's Beaver State. That was Portland Open, wasn't it?
No, Simon won.
I got
Portland
1 for
Open.
2. I know that.
Haley King and Chris Dickerson.
Nope, none.
Garrett Gerthy and Val Mandujano.
Yeah, Evan's just good at this.
Mandujano did the Oregon sweep.
Why do you know these
That's
silver
right.
events? Is it because you do the
It's
stats,
literally
or
his
do you
job.
actually care? That's what I'm saying. Is it because of that, or do
We're
you?
actually not contracted for silver events.
Okay.
No,
I know things.
All right,
No, Garrett Gerthy, he won after missing out on
after
Portland
flopping
Open,
at Portland.
and
I
then Val
watched
went
them.
back to back Oregon events.
Man,
All
they
right.
just don't stand out to me as much.
Is Sula next? Not Mid America, or is it Mid America? Don't be Mid America. That's the
So the
one.
Sula's next. Good job.
Okay.
All right, PCS
Sula's
Sula, yes. Silver
I'm
event.
like-
Thank you, Harry Chase. You were the man. I just saw it in the chat late. I know it's delayed. Vintage Open. It was in Arkansas. I said it. Maybe it was in Arkansas. Vintage Open.
That was
Sarah
Heiberg.
Hokum and
What-
Calvin.
It was Hokum. Yeah.
Yes. So I knew I
I
had
don't
an
even
event.
know what event
Yeah, that's
I
that
was
is.
2021.
thinking the wrong event, and
Yeah,
of
that
course
was a
I
cool
knew
course.
I knew Stacy
kinda like that
won
one.
Yeah.
Tallahassee because
Yeah.
Tallahassee.
Haas, yeah, that
yes,
was the
Haas.
big.
I knew it was.
that was the
anyways,
big.
that's
All right,
okay. Everyone
Sula-
knows I'm dumb.
All right, Sula, I'm gonna give you guys a hit. You got to know one of them. You have to. The other one you're not gonna get, but the
Is this
one
a
you
Greg
are gonna
Barsby
get.
one? Sula?
I mean, you got to write this stuff down. We can't answer these for you.
Hunter, my son upstairs, would have been great to have in the room for this game. You should have invited him
Yeah.
down.
I
Hunter
can
would
go
have been
get
my
him right
best
now.
You should have invited him.
Well, I didn't know we were playing this game.
That's a good point. All right.
I like keeping
Are we
my
good?
games a secret until
Are we
it's
good?
time. Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Greg Barsby and then Anakin Stein.
Matt, go ahead.
Greg Barsby. I don't know FPO.
I think you're right, Nick. I'm not 100% sure, but
Yep.
I did Barsby and Sten.
Barsby and Steen. Yep.
Wow.
Oh
Correct.
wow, I actually got that right.
Steen, but it's pronounced Sten, I believe.
Okay.
Cool.
It was a good game.
Hannah will yell at me because I
All right.
butchered another European.
Mid America's
name.
next,
Oh,
right?
there's two more, Matt. I'm sorry.
This is a good game.
Sorry to rate it.
Kyle Klein.
You gotta write it. This man's thinking out loud.
you got to write it down.
Kyle
You got to remember
Klein.
2022, Matt.
Missy
2022.
Gannon. Kyle
But
Klein,
hold on,
Missy
I
Gannon.
actually don't know the FPO winner for Mid America, so I got
I don't
to think about
either.
this.
Missy Gannon, I think, was in it to win it, but I don't think that she did. I'm saying it out loud.
All
I
right,
don't think
I
it
got
was
my guesses.
Missy.
Yep.
Hold on.
3 seconds, Evan. Just go.
5, 4,
Okay,
Four.
okay.
3.
3.
I'm going for it. This is a guess.
All
This is a
right.
guess.
1.
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh wait, so you're perfect so far, right, Evan?
Yeah, this
Evan's
is my
perfect.
first. The FPO
you're-
pick for this is my only guess so far.
You're 12 for 12. I'm 9 for 12. Matt's
Who
1 for
probably?
12.
That's-
I probably have 4 points.
3
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
You might have negative points at this point.
Yeah.
I wrote Alden Harris and Haley King.
All right, Matt.
Haley King's not right.
I don't think
Who
so.
did I say? I
Sorry,
said Kyle
not the
Klein.
commentator.
Oh yeah, Kyle
No,
Klein
it's fine.
and
And
Missy
Kyle
Kyle
Gannon.
Klein
I
was
think I said
21.
Gannon. Gannon was in it to win it, but I don't think she did. Okay, but I'm saying that Kyle Klein and Missy.
All
Gannon.
right.
Did Holcomb win this?
I did Alden Harris and Sarah Hokum.
Am I a year earlier?
Missy
Like,
Gannon was not in this
Yeah.
event.
I'm
Anyways,
way earlier.
Evan, you are correct.
It was Holcomb. Okay.
I thought she won 2 last
I
year.
think I'm
thought
thinking
she
of
did.
2021.
Let's
yeah, you were in
go.
22 or 21, Matt. Sorry.
All right, what's next? Butler County.
Yep, and that's it. Butler. I mean, we could do the wraparound events, but let's just stick
All right.
with.
I'm
Easy peasy,
serious when
let's-
I say I don't even know Butler County was a silver event. Like I
That's
do
the one-
not.
That's the one in
silver events are like,
Pennsylvania,
eh.
right before
Yeah.
Worlds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like seriously.
Matt,
no
you want
interest in
to
it.
do
It
you
was
even want to
kind
guess?
of-
No.
It was kind of Pittsburgh, but it kind of wasn't.
guess.
Come on, if you had to guess someone to win.
No,
If
because
you
I
had to
don't
guess
even
someone-
know the
it
event.
was argued as the greatest round last year
Yes.
An MPO.
in MPO.
Just guess an FPO winner. Just guess an FPO winner.
No
Who
idea.
wins a lot on the FPO scene?
Kristen Cesar.
Like a lot. Yeah, there you go.
Wow, nice
Now,
guess.
who had arguably one of the best rounds in the world last
Who
year?
is the best?
Who
I
is
don't
just so wholehearted in this life?
Joel Freeman. So
Good job.
this is an
I
interesting
knew Evan
thing.
knew that, so we could give that away. But yeah, Tatar.
This is an interesting thing, and it's actually revealing something to me. And I don't know if anybody else agrees with like, no, Matt, you're alone. I would actually, I don't want to say I'm proud of myself, but I would have said, hey, I think I could do pretty good with Disc Golf Pro Tour events, but apparently not silver events, and I'm not sure why.
I picked them.
Is it
because there's not a lot of coverage. on
is
them.
it my brain saying no? Because I watch every event, even the silver events. But is it just saying to my brain like these aren't important, so it doesn't implant it? You know, I don't know.
There's just a lot
I
of
do not
events
know.
going on. Like I
Pretty sure we had Joel on after that round.
Yeah,
too.
but if you
Did
do
we?
elite events, yes, but I wasn't here. That's right. Now I remember that.
Oh.
I wasn't. Anyways, but if we did this
Evan
game with
was.
elite, let's do that next week. Let's do it with elite events and let's
All right.
see how we
wait,
do.
but
Yeah.
you can't look it up.
No, I won't look it up.
No one can look it up. I'll,
We'll just pick a different year then. Go back like 5 years.
oh yeah, true. I could pick a different year. I could do that.
World Tour event.
That'd be so hard.
What'd you say? 2015.
Yeah.
World Tour events. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
I
I
know.
don't think I would do well with that.
I mean, I could do 21.
I
I
think
mean,
it was
would that
2017
would
World
that
Tour,
strike
wasn't
a
it?
chord in anyone?
I forget what year. I think it was 2015 to 16, and then
No,
21 would be hard. I don't
it
know.
would have been 20.
Here, the
I think
question is just what years
2017
ago-
because I remember it was the big announcement. Another tour is coming into the scene. I thought it was 2017, the year after the Pro Tour started.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad Davey
I thought-
Fades said, I can't remember my mom's birthday. Y'all too smart for me. I'm like, I'm there with you on these silver events.
So that was
Um,
recency.
Do you
By
remember?
us.
This is random now. This is totally off of disc golf. Do you remember back in the day when you were watching the video podcast before you were part of the team
Before I was part of the team.
and I was sounding out a name and it was
Jeremy.
it was Jeremiah,
Oh yeah.
but the way they had written it was Jeremiah. And that is a
Jeremiah.
memory. I still have the clip somewhere. I'm like, is that Jeremiah? And someone's like,
yeah,
dude, that's Jeremiah.
I reached out to you and I had my girlfriend try and pronounce it, and she said the same thing, Jeremiah. And then a month later, I was on the show.
It's true.
Literally.
Jeremiah. Anyways, thank you to our chat. We love it. Evan is so sassy tonight. Thank you, Daniel, for that one.
Evan's always
I'm sassy every night. Yeah. Just sometimes.
Okay, well, I will
happens
just
a
say
little bit
this.
more often.
Evan saying, I'm going to have to disagree with you, Nick, is the most Kearns thing ever. Man just always has to debate. Even if he doesn't believe it in his heart. He's just like, I'm going to have to bring this up.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I don't know if it's true if you don't believe in your heart. I think it's just funny. You always have your own opinion, and I love it. It's good for the show.
I can always pick a side.
That's
It's funny
why.
because
on,
it's the same way on Twitter as well. I'll always comment on Evan's stuff and we'll go back and forth. And it's just Evan's like my guy to just have fun arguments with.
Nice. Glad. Always up for it.
That was sassy too. Glad.
Why? That wasn't sassy. I just didn't know what to say.
Nice. Glad.
We've learned a lot about you tonight, Evan.
Yeah,
We've learned a lot about you.
We can argue about the Jokic MVP debate. Guy had to whine for 2 years and finally got it. That's in my mind recently too. But
Are you wearing a Jokic jersey?
No, I'm wearing a Nuggets jersey. I don't have a Jokic jersey.
Who is it?
Emmanuel Mudiay. Got it for like $30, so that's how I buy my jerseys.
Let's play a game. One more game. And it's closing out game. I'm playing an amateur only event this weekend. 3 rounds, 1 round a day, tee times, MA1. You probably don't care about round ratings, but I don't know how to do pars and all that.
Yeah,
so
where is this?
What do you think I'm going to average for a rating? I'm currently 938 rated. What am I going to average?
The
at
Hollows
event?
North and South in Birch Park.
Nope, just Hollows North and South.
Oh, it's
3
not
rounds.
Oh, really?
It's not
Yep.
Birch Park.
Do you know what
So,
layout?
Short to
I'm
long.
938 rated. What am I going to average?
It's
for the
they want
event.
short to long.
Yep,
Well, you don't have to throw a distance driver there, so
Yeah,
you're gonna
Matt's
average
gonna
like
shred that.
965.
960. I'll be happy with that, Nick.
You're
960.
gonna put your
951.
off.
I'll say you
951.
play your rating. 930.
That's under my rating. 938 is my rating.
38.
Is this the New England Amateur Disc Golf Championships?
Yep.
Oh, I got 3rd there.
All right.
Back in
Well,
20
did you say a rating event average, Evan?
I said 951.
Okay, 951. So Nick's the nicest one tonight. He has the most hope.
Yeah.
I'll say 935.
I have the most
then.
hope.
think you're
I
gonna
won
just
an
play
A
your
tier
rating.
there last year. I believe in you, Matt.
All right, here we go. Close it out, Nick.
Everybody, we do very much appreciate you all tuning in on this
Harry
wonderful
cheese.
Monday night. One of the biggest things that we can take away from this last weekend is definitely go out and try to be a kind person out there in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on, and just do your best to be kind. I always say it every single week. Tell someone you love them. Everyone, say that to your important people in life. You never know what anyone is going through. But thank you for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone, for the 9,000 plus subscribers that we have so far. Check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms. To all the mothers out there, happy belated Mother's Day. We'll catch you in the next one. Tell someone you love them this week.
Dude, chat, you're awesome. Even the guy who said 899 event rating. Ben, you're awesome. Nick, you're
Hey,
awesome.
this ain't me.
Evan, you're awesome. Peace out, everybody. Until next time.
It's the
Yep.
Nick and Matt
Love your neighbors.
Show.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.